I just don't want to go down to 2 lives this quickly.
I know.
Minecraft's got to be on there.
Mm-hmm. And I think we both knew going into this last episode, we were fully expecting a big fight. I don't think I was quite ready for how intense this fight was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was like mouth open, edge of my seat the whole way through.
Frank and Matt both having such strict rules about how they operate and being on complete opposite sides and having essentially philosophical debates is always Daredevil at its best, right? This conversation in this episode is up there with the rooftop scene from Daredevil season 2.
Yes.
After Matt talks to his client and he goes up there and he like flirts with the ADA. Yeah. Again, love the comic book accuracy because I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Matt Murdock is a Catholic whore. Hello and welcome back to episode 154 of Cutscene Combos. Was that right? That felt weird. Anyway,
that was right.
We've got so much to cover this week. We don't even have a character profile. There's that much to cover. We have got the finale of Invincible Season 3. We've got Reacher. We've got Daredevil. Josh is back with more gaming news. He's got another top 10 list for us to try and work our way through. And as always, we've got the nerdy news. But before all that good stuff, Horizontal, how has your week been?
My week's been pretty good. After recorded mid last week, then at the weekend I was away with family.
Yes, you were.
Yearly family weekend, which now with the podcast, any regular viewers will be keenly aware that this happens every year because there's always a gap or discussion.
Set your clock by it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was nice. There was, I think, 21 of us. But yeah, somewhere new than we've done in the previous years, new location. Which
a couple of new faces as well because you've had some nieces and nephews joins. Yeah.
One of which has started walking, which is
wild. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, walking with assistance, should we say?
Yeah.
But like still, but yeah, a lot of fun. There was a pool table, so pool played. I almost tried getting up for the F1 because it was the start of the F1 season, but it was Australia, so it was 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of being like, usually I'm a nocturnal person. So one consideration was I just stay up, but then I was like, I'm going to be shattered the day after. Then I was like, I'll go to bed earlier than I normally would. Have like a couple hour nap, wake up.
And then just have a long day.
I woke up to the alarm at like 6 a.m. and I looked at the clock and I was like, well, I've missed the race and go back to sleep. Which was, I watched it on repeat later, but yeah, no, it was a good weekend. I had fun with family. It's always nice.
Awesome.
And then back to the setup, back to catching up on shows.
Real life.
Yeah. Back to the job hunt, all the good stuff. How's your week been?
How's my week been? So on Thursday, me and Jenna got to go to the Alto Nights premiere, which was good fun. The new Robert De Niro film. The embargo on that lifted today at 4 p.m. as we're recording this, so I can talk about it freely. It's a good film. I enjoyed it. Probably not the kind of film we would have gone to see off our own back. But as you know, I'm now comfortable calling myself a cinephile because I do love films. I will watch anything as long as I've like got the time to do it.
Yeah.
There were some bits that weren't so great about it, but I think Robert De Niro playing both of the lead roles was genuinely very, very good. Kind of rolled back the years and felt like he was at his best again. It was an entertaining film. If you enjoy kind of mafia films that aren't about insane amounts of violence and are more like the politicky side of crime, there's definitely a story that you might find interesting. It was kind of cool to experience my first premiere. It was kind of weird. Being in the same room as Robert De Niro is like pretty weird. I'm also 99% certain, like a row behind me and in the next aisle across, was Ralph Fiennes, Ralph Ineos, who's playing Galactus.
Oh.
It was either him or the spitting image of him. It was weird. I didn't manage to grab him, unfortunately, to ask him about Fantastic Four.
Have you started filming? Well,
yeah,
not for Fantastic Four. What can you tell us?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to grab him. He slipped away, but I'm 99% sure it was him. But yeah, that was a fun experience, and I hope to get to do some more of them in the future. Then we had... What did I do at the weekend? I don't know. Oh, editing. Lots of editing. Because I did no editing last weekend and very little this weekend coming. So lots of editing. And prepping for the new setup build, which will be happening in a few weeks here.
Yes.
So just getting all of my ducks lined up for that is always fun. And that's just busy week at work. Some new responsibilities have landed on my desk today, which is going to make the next few weeks very fun. You know the meme of I've accidentally become important at work and it's ruining my life. I have a fear that I might be experiencing like a light version of that. So I need to go back to being unimportant and just cracking on. But yeah, other than that, not been too bad. Busy couple of weeks coming up. March and April are just rammed with things that are booked in. Oh. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just know it's going to blink by and then it'll be May.
Let's not
but we're trying to enjoy it.
Yeah, closer honestly. To my birthday then.
Yeah. Gonna be 90 years old. Invincible finale this week.
Yes.
Oh my good gravy. What an episode.
I watched this before going away. And I think I immediately put in our chat of like, absolute cinema. What a finale. And you were just immediately like, I have not seen this, stop. But holy shit. Like, I knew, and I think we both knew, going into this last episode, we were fully expecting a big fight. We knew Conquest had arrived. We knew Mark had a lot of pent-up rage from fighting himself multiple times. I don't think I was quite ready for how intense this fight was going to be. I was like mouth open, edge of my seat the whole fucking way through. Yeah.
This episode was, first and foremost, I never want to hear anyone talk about the quality of animation in this show ever again. I would just always point them back to this episode. This is some of the best animation I think you could ask for. There's only so much budget, and they made sure they used it wisely, I feel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I always knew in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, some of these other episodes might have had, like, weird bits of animation. I was like, they're going to go ham on the final episode. With a
that
big fight. Like, they were going to go ham. There were so many moments. I was going to say, I mean, this is going to be jumping around a lot. When Eve, two things with Eve. The changing the density of the air to stop him was such a fucking big brain move. But then also I'm like, do this fucking more. Like, clearly you are so much stronger, but I know it's like a lot of it is stamina thing. I'm like, but she needs to get on the same training regime and like we need to
get that 138% stronger, yeah?
Like, come on, we need to get her stronger because she is nuts. The other thing was the stun lock that I was put in when she got destroyed by Conquest. Because I was like, oh, she's going to get like thrown again and like not like she's going to get injured. I was not ready for this level of injury. Neither was Mark.
It was really difficult to actually watch.
Yeah.
Like Mark over her body and like how like brutalized she was actually kind of rough to watch, bearing in mind it was animated. Like I was like, oh no. Like it felt quite visceral, and that's really impressive.
Yeah, because it was like when she arrived, in my head I was just like, we know she has them blocks where she can't transform human matter. And I was just like, maybe she'll see Mark so fucked up, like she can push past that block and she can like essentially heal him back to full, and he's going to win this fight.
Heal him back to full. Pop your ult, Eve.
Yeah, pop your ult, getting back to full health. Then when she got destroyed, and obviously Mark's like distraught over her body. I'm just like, I mean, either this, she's gonna somehow heal herself, and then she wasn't. I was like, maybe she just heals. Like, maybe her dying thing is like she heals Mark up, so that he can like something, and then she dies. Meanwhile, Conquest is being savage in the background, telling her like,
The
"Oh,
way Conquest was throughout this
mm,
was masterful. Because he is like two different villain archetypes, right? You've got the villain archetype, which is big and strong and is going to beat you into submission. And then you've got the villain archetype that is more psychological and they're going to get inside your head. And he was both. And he was flawless as both. He was a physical threat while also getting inside Mark's head. It was so entertaining, and like, even like what should be quite a sad story of no one likes me, everyone fears me, I don't even get to have a name.
Monologue.
I'm just like, oh my god, you do feel a little bit sorry for him, but in the same way you feel sorry for a wolf that's going on like a murderous rampage and needs to be put down. You're like, it's doing what it's like been taught to do essentially. It's a wild animal that's hunting for food or for whatever, but you feel bad for it because you have to put it down. I kind of felt like that about Conquest. I'm like, he's just doing what he can to survive, because if he doesn't follow orders, all of the Viltrumites will turn on him.
Well,
But at the same time, he does need to be put down because he's too dangerous. It's like,
yeah,
so complex.
it's also like it just added so much depth, because also that monologue, I'm sure you saw that wasn't in the comics, and that was written just for the show.
And it's being praised very highly as well as a change.
But like it adds so much depth to a character that, in the general scheme, like indeed, like he is the big bad evil guy in D&D terms. Like he is the main villain that like has this like some level of charisma to him to like do these evil monologues and is just pure evil. And it is like he was a character that he was doing this because he enjoyed it. He was destroying things, but then over time, like he has developed and got more to him to then realize that like he has slowly pushed himself and isolated himself because he's just too good at what he does, and like he enjoyed it at first and now it's become his burden, but then yet there's still some level of enjoyment in there even if he doesn't fully accept it. Like, and then that little monologue where he admits to it and he's like, you can take that to your grave.
Yeah,
it was
it's
just
so good in like the worst way imaginable and the best way imaginable. And like, you know, I have lots of strong opinions about villains. Villains are like my favorite written characters because a really well written villain makes you question things about yourself. It should make you a little bit scared of your own thoughts occasionally. You want the villain to be so obviously bad, but occasionally they say something that you understand, and that should make you go, "Oh, that's what a good villain does, right?" And Conquest did a little bit of that by like making you feel like, say, like a little bit sorry for him. You're like, "Oh, that's actually a bit sad," and then you remember he is genuinely a terrifying murderous sociopath that is not to be trusted.
Yeah, and like all the way through the fight, just like goading Mark and just being like showing that evil enjoyment of, oh, this is a game to me. Like this is just me having a bit of fun, and I want you to try harder. And then like when I was almost certain Oliver was dead when he was being
I'm surprised Oliver survived. Shout out Mark for actually finding enough to save his brother there.
Yeah, I mean, and the Foley artist doing the sound effects for his body being shot, I was like, oh, this is so detailed that we are going to watch him be ripped in half. Like there was so much there that I was like, oh, you do this level of detail when there's about to be something bad happens. But yeah, I mean, from start to finish, that fight was insane on just so many levels. I think Mark is an idiot though at the end, because he trusts Cecil to get rid of the body. And it's like, Mark, like, what if you learned nothing about this man? You already have made it very clear this season you don't trust him, but then you trust him to get rid of this body. Like,
The other thing that did you say this last week as well about why don't they turn Mark's other bodies into the monster things?
so we I think we both mentioned. I think you said you think they'll try and do that because we didn't know what some
I
of those
remember it
bodies
being
got
discussed, but
taken
I couldn't remember
away.
who said it.
I think you
Yeah.
mentioned that they got taken away, and I was like, I hadn't really considered them doing that, but I didn't know. But yeah, you were right.
That's
in
what
your
they're
sense.
working on.
Sinclair was working on that.
I'm
also,
really curious
though,
to see what the payoff of that is.
it brings up another question though when we got that scene, because like Sinclair's clearly been having a life and going on dates and out for dinner, and
Yeah.
like this is someone who is meant to be apparently locked up and like under watch, but clearly is allowed to have some sort of a life. So it's like, okay, Cecil's being a bit too relaxed, I think, with some of this rehabilitation and use of these people.
It's a techie one. Big go on.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I get the need for these invincible like robots.
I think the beauty of this show is the fact that a lot of the time you can see where every character is coming from.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I think the only thing that is like completely irredeemable from Cecil is keeping Conquest alive.
Yeah.
And just locking him up. But at the same time, I get in his head the Viltrumite Empire's coming here. He doesn't know there's only like 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left. He needs to know everything he can physically find out about this dude, and he thinks he's got the situation under control.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay. I think that's still a boneheaded decision, but I understand why he thinks he's got it under control.
I get why Cecil's done what he's done. I'm annoyed at Mark for being so dumb that he's still trusting Cecil to do what he considers the right thing when he should know better by now. Like,
yeah,
because Mark's gonna be pissed that he didn't get rid of the body, and it's like, well, you should have made sure he got rid of it then. Like that's your own fault. Like you should know. Also, we mentioned last week about the surgeons. I presumed that the way it happened with the surgeons in Angstrom, that Angstrom's about to get screwed over now because they've had enough. Turns out no, they've fixed him, and they want their own planet.
Yeah, it sounds like they've destroyed their original homeworld, and he's asking them to, and they're forcing him rather to give them a new homeworld. But they have bigger plans.
So I think it's almost certain Angstrom returns again.
Yes, Angstrom is not gone. I think
no. So I think that might be where these extra invincible bots are going to end up coming in use.
I'm really curious about after Mark got the best welcome home present I've ever seen. What's going on with Eve's powers?
Oh yeah, because it went all gooey on the floor. I think she's starting to break down that mental block.
Oh, so maybe
she's not realizing that she's now also altering matter. Like,
see, I didn't view it so much as that. I viewed it so much as when like her powers kicked in and saved her. I viewed it more as something's not wired up quite right, and now her powers are just unstable.
Oh, possibly.
Because if you think about it,
she went full Phoenix mode.
Yeah, and I think kind of when she removed his clothes and put them in a pile, you've got to remember it's not the same clothes, right? Like the laws of teleportation is if you get to teleport pod, it disintegrates you and then reintegrates you. You could argue scientifically you're not the same person, even though you're identical.
And we know by her powers she's controlling atoms, so she's essentially disassembling the atoms, reassembling them as the same clothes.
And so the clothes aren't the exact same in that sense. Like not to get philosophical in the entire fucking thing, but then when they're on the floor, they turn to goo. It's like they can't hold their shape.
Well, yeah,
which means her powers aren't quite working right.
Yeah,
and I'm curious what that means.
I think it's either her powers have got really messed up, or it could be linked with she's going past a mental block but doesn't realize it. So then
maybe
she's subconsciously altering what they are, and that's still an issue.
Going to be that's scary as well.
Yeah, I think at some point she's going to accidentally change somebody and then be like, wait, what? Or do something that she realizes she doesn't have proper control anymore. And she's going to have to relearn how to do that.
Mage style. But it's just, this show the season 3 has been phenomenal. I'm so impressed with what they've pulled off, and seeing the entire arc of the season has boiled down to kind of like, can you be a hero and kill people?
Yeah.
And ironically, Mark was on the right side for the entire season. But this kind of really shit week has tipped him over the edge. And now we know at the end of the season, he's just said to Oliver, he's like, I'm sorry, Oliver, you were right. Sometimes you do have to kill people.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that means going into the next season. Are we going to see like a mini tyrant Mark?
So
the worst tyrants are the ones who don't think they're a tyrant.
So there's two parts that I think are going to happen. Obviously, you're going to get Mark. I think now Mark is not going to hold back the same, which I actually think he kind of needs to do, because like throughout this season, yes, he was 138% stronger. He was still getting his ass kicked. And it was only at the end of the season when he stopped caring that he was able to defeat potentially so far the strongest Viltrumite he's come against.
Yeah.
But it was like borderline win, let's be honest. I think he's gonna hold back less, and next season maybe he's not losing fights as much and just like wiping them, which then
I feel like if Powerplex gets out again, Mark might just kill him.
Yeah. The other side of this is he's now told Oliver it's okay. I think, because we were convinced going into this season Oliver was probably going to die or do something serious, and he didn't. He almost did at the beginning, but like he actually did quite well for the rest of the season. I think unfortunately now there's a potential he goes into next season, he doesn't hold back, and at first it's fine because it is a villain and Mark's like, yeah, like I've said, this is okay. But where Mark will still have a moral level, whether even if he's letting loose a bit more, he's still going to have a thing of like, I'm not going to just kill an innocent person. Oliver won't have that same level because he is too young. Like, he just doesn't know. Yeah. And I think Oliver will eventually go over that line, and Mark will suddenly go, oh shit, I've taken him the wrong way now. Some sort of realization.
I'm very, very curious to see how this story develops, how Mark changes. It's starting to feel, you know how kind of at the end of Doom Part 2, anyone who has any media literacy skills kind of goes, fuck, has Paul just become the bad guy?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the feeling I got at the end of this episode. When Mark said, I'm sorry, Oliver, you were right. In my head, I'm like, oh, fuck, is Mark not the hero? At least for a little while. Is Mark going to become like a little bit naughty for a while and we're kind of be rooted against him a little bit? And then he manages to redeem himself? I don't know.
I think it's more Mark is at this point where he's gonna be on a tightrope now, where every episode, I think next season, we're gonna be like, did he go too far there? And each time it's going to be pushing us to question that a little, and we're probably going to be at first like, well, no, that guy was like, and he had to do it to win the fight, and then it's gonna get to a point where we're like, I think Mark might have gone too far there, and like that's what's going to happen. So it's not so much he's gone evil; he is testing the moral line of everyone now.
The interesting question with superheroes is always who gives them the right to make these decisions, right? And what that boils down to is a lot of heroes have like a no-kill rule. They're like, yes, I know I'm operating outside the law, so I'm going to protect people and stop criminals, and then I'll hand them over to the police and let the police take the due process from there. I'm just interrupting earlier where the police can't protect lives. There is a genuine philosophical argument to be had about, okay, what about people who are too dangerous? But
conquest.
yeah, the beauty of that question always is a lot of the world, or not even a lot of the world, a decent portion of the world, doesn't have capital punishment. It doesn't kill people. Like over in the UK, capital punishment does still technically exist for treason.
Treason to the royal family.
Yeah, but it's not being used in fuck knows how long. It's not being used in France, Germany, Spain. I don't believe have it anymore. Like over half of the states in America, I don't believe have the death penalty anymore. Which instantly throws this in like the entire concept of is it okay to kill a criminal into like moral ambiguity, right? Because in parts of the world that are literally maybe a couple of miles apart, someone commits a murder, they're going to be put on death row. Someone commits a murder, they're going to be in prison for life. That's already complex enough, right?
Yeah.
It becomes more complex for serial killers. But then when you add serial killers who are superpowered as well, that adds a whole other level of complexity to it. And does that then fall into the world of, is it up to the superpowered good people, bearing in mind that good is subjective, to handle the superpowered bad people? At which point does it just become like a gun control argument? All it takes to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's literally like the NRA's whole thing. And people like me and you are like, well, no one should have guns. Okay, so do we believe that people with power shouldn't be allowed to use them? And it gets very complex very quickly, and I'm not saying I have an answer, but that's where a lot of like the really good and difficult storytelling that makes you have to actually think about it comes in. And I don't know where I stand on this, because I agree with part of what Cecil's saying. Cecil is head of a government agency whose job is to keep the planet safe.
Yep.
Not dissimilar to like the CIA, MI5 type beat. There are, without a doubt, things the CIA and MI5 do that we would find abhorrent and unacceptable if we knew about. That is, for a large part, the reason we don't know they do them. Because I think it's in
if you don't know, you can't be mad.
I think it's A Few Good Men, with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. It's like, you can't handle the truth. It's like, the truth is you don't want to know what I do, because if you know, you wouldn't like it. Like, that entire idea of what is the cost of freedom and safety. And that is what Invincible is tackling really aggressively this series.
Yeah.
Like, okay, at what point are you no longer comfortable? And that's like what we discussed that most weeks. It's like, oh, Oliver's gone a bit far there. But in reality, we know, like, forgetting how much we enjoy the Mauler twins being around as characters, we know the Mauler twins have killed hundreds of people just in these 3 seasons, and they've been supervillains for a while before that. Should they be allowed to just live in a prison when we know they break out? Do you have like a 3-strike rule, but for breaking out of prison?
Yeah, it's tough. And then because then the level above all this is like a conquest shows up, and it's like, if they are not stopped, Earth is just that everyone on this planet is killed. So at that point, it's like,
it asks you where your line is, essentially.
Yeah. And it's like, well, planet versus alien, I think the planet collectively would be like, yes, please kill him and stop him.
Realistically, what it would all come down to like solve this in-universe problem, which I'm glad they don't, because then you don't have as interesting storytelling, is all the governments go, capital punishment is now available for criminals who are dangerous, imminent threat to life, and are so powerful that we can't be confident incarceration keeps the public safe.
Yeah.
Because that's why incarceration of serial killers currently works, right? If a serial killer gets caught in the UK and they get thrown in solitary or in prison for 50 years, they don't break out.
Yeah,
so we can kind of go, right, well, they can't hurt anyone now, so we don't need to kill them.
Yeah, and this
but
is like why
dictators and stuff, we're like, well, no, we should kill them because they can hurt people and we can't just lock them away easily.
Well, and Cecil's sort of attempting this now, isn't he? Like he was like, oh, we're however many feet underground, this is however many tons of titanium is locked in. Like, this is us incarcerating him. If that doesn't work though, and that's the best,
enough to stop him?
And that's the best you've built, then okay, there's no locking him up. Like, how do you deal with him? Yeah. And we have to presume, like, yes, Conquest claimed to be the evilest, and like, he might not actually be the strongest or worst.
Yeah.
So there's probably going to be worse coming. We know,
Exactly.
and this is also in the news, but we know Frog, however you say
Frag.
it,
Yeah.
is next season's big bad Viltrumite apparently, and has been cast. Voice actor's been cast. Comic fans seem very hype in this character showing up, which then I'm like, oh, this is gonna get more interesting, I fear, next season.
Yeah. But I genuinely think, obviously, the finale is like, for a little while, it was only the second ever show to be rated 10 out of 10 on IMDb, alongside Ozymandias from Breaking Bad. It's now dropped to a 9.9. Still makes it one of like the top 10 episodes in TV history on IMDb. Incredible episode. I cannot like. I doubt you're watching this right now if you don't watch Invincible. But if you are, go watch Invincible. It is one of the better shows on TV right now. It just is.
Yeah.
But yeah, incredible finale. I don't think we can realistically ask for anything more.
No, and I mean, we already said at the beginning of the season, but like the format was so much better this season.
No more mid-season breaks, baby.
It worked so much better, and I'm so glad they listened to the fans there.
Yeah. Reacher.
I
believe, was this the penultimate episode, or is there 2 more? I can't remember.
I think there's 2 more. I think there's 8 in total.
Yeah. So we ended last time out with Reacher about to meet Quinn.
Yes.
And us going, fuck, does he get out of this easily with his cover intact? Does it all go to shit? What's going to happen?
Yeah, more so fully expecting this is about to go shit up, probably.
Yeah. Turns out he doesn't recognize Reacher.
No.
And actually really likes Reacher, which comedically, as the viewer, is brilliant, right? Especially when he like he made some reference about, oh, if I wanted you dead, I would have shot you in the head and thrown you in the water. Which is what Reacher did to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really funny. Like, there's a lot of layers to that. And I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like for a little while they were kind of floating the idea that maybe he does know who Reacher is, but he didn't want to give it away too quickly.
Yeah. I have a theory. I think he is gonna remember. I think it's not so much like he has lost like all of it's like what often happens with amnesia and stuff is like sometimes it is a mental block and that connection gets made and then suddenly like, oh shit, I remember all these things. Something's gonna happen, whether it's a mention of a name or something, that he's then gonna realize who Reacher is. And that might come later, or like in the last episode or something, like when they're face to face. But yeah, him not remembering, this episode started off being like, is this about to go shits up? To, oh fuck, he doesn't remember him. Oh, well, okay. We can.
He seems to really like him.
This is good. This is going to work out. They're going to get this girl back. There's a deal going down. There's Russian mob. Okay, we're learning more information.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the idea that once again, the guy who we thought was at the top and had all the power is also kind of shit scared
of someone bigger. There's always a bigger fish.
They're literally Qui-Gon Jinn forever proving. But yeah.
From that, obviously, then Quinn's like, well, I'm going to look into who the fuck was looking me up in this information because it's causing issues. Obviously, finds out his plates were flagged and some of his guys were looked into by 2 individuals. One is a member of the 110th, who was that lad in the office that we got, who was fanboying over the phone.
Yeah.
The other was Neagley. As soon as we saw the lad being beaten up, I was like, and then it cut to Neagley in her office at night on her own, and her gun was on the chair. She got up. I was like, oh fuck, there's about to be a hit on her. She was so fucking good. Like,
I love Neagley. Me and Jenna was sat there watching it, And let me be clear, me and Jenna are in a phenomenally happy relationship. I adore Jenna with my entire heart. I looked at her in the eye, I was like, I would leave you so quickly for Neegly. She's so cool. And then she looked back and went, I'd leave you for Neegly too. And I'm like, yeah, I expect nothing
Oh, I
less.
thought
That
you were
woman
gonna
is
say
so
she said
badass.
I'd leave you for Reacher.
No, she's like, I'd leave you for Neegly too. And I'm like, yeah, she's the best.
But like,
just so effortlessly badass.
So effortless, badass. Obviously, like, we knew she was gonna make it back to the outside. These guys are gonna get absolutely fucking wrecked.
You are not ready for what you've walked into.
You do not mess with the 110th. I was not ready for the level of savagery when she realizes the guy's crawled into the kitchen bleeding out, and she's like, oh, I don't need to fight anymore. I'm gonna make some cereal. And then she goes, can you move out of the way just so she can get some milk? And this guy's like, please just call me an ambulance. Like, so brutal.
I always love like the running gag in like action shows of like, it wasn't personal, it was just a job.
Mm.
And like, I do get that to an extent. It's like, okay, it could not be personal for you. You did try and kill me. I'm gonna choose to take that personally.
Well, yeah, it's like, it might be your job. There is still consequences to your job. Like, if you mess up your job, you gotta accept you fucked up.
When you accept a job to try and kill someone, you've got to accept that if you don't do your job very well, you will be the one dying. Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. She just like so nonchalantly gets cereal and just like then obviously get answers out of him. And then just like calls 911 like it's lets him die and calls 911 like it's no like this is a regular occurrence. Like they seem like, oh yeah, we're the security firm. This is a regular thing we get. I'd be surprised if she doesn't show up next episode. Whether she gets called in or she just shows up.
So I believe she's in the thumbnail for the finale.
Okay.
In like a tuxedo or something. So I think we might see her as show like up. Waiting staff for the birthday party.
She's probably going to show up in this next episode at the end.
Yeah.
For the okay.
Because obviously Reacher's cover's blown now. Obviously, when Quinn says he's interrogating a man from the 110th, the dad goes, "Oh shit, Reacher was in the 110," and then it all gets pieced together from there.
Yeah, so it goes
which is really ironic because the 110th dude, God rest his soul, doesn't give Reacher up. No. He's like, "Fuck you, what play? I didn't run shit."
When Reacher realised what was going, and he rang up the 110th officer, and obviously there's some other girl answered, and then she's like being kind of like standoffish, like doesn't want to give out, like, I don't know, he's meant to be, and he's like, who am I speaking to? And he goes, this is ex-general of the 110, like General Reacher, and she's like, oh shit, this is like this sudden level of respect given.
She literally went to fucking attention.
It's like, oh fuck, this is the founder. Yeah. I did not realize who the fuck I was. Like the sudden, like, oh,
I love how he can still give active soldiers orders just because they respect him so much. He's like, you need to get a bunch of armed guys over to his home right now. It is an emergency. Tell them they need to be ready for fucking anything.
That's that thing where it's like the boss that everyone respected left, and there's a new boss that doesn't know, and then they walk in and everyone like it listens to the old, and it's like, he doesn't even work here anymore. Why? But yeah, this episode went from like, it starts with us going, oh shit, he's gonna get caught. Oh, thank God he's safe. To, oh shit, he's been caught and his cover's blown. Like, you get that sense of, okay, we're getting away. Oh wait, there's more. We're getting away with it. He goes with the son into town. And the fucking FBI were, oh, this cracked me up when she kissed him and then immediately got pissed at him for kissing him. And he's like, hold on, you kissed me. Why am I getting attacked here? I did nothing wrong. But yeah, like, we're like, okay, he's got away with it. Then the son sees the cop that's meant to be dead.
I love how Reacher pieces it together, just not quite fast enough. He's like, what the fuck is he doing here?
Yeah, like, she's like, well, he just was in the car. And it's like, no, but, and then obviously as the kid walks around the corner. So then you're like, oh shit, he's made. So then the kid's like, fine, I won't blow your cover. Obviously is pissed with Reacher, but like also kind of understands this might be a way to...
It might be the only way he ever gets to live a normalish life.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, he's going to get away with it again. The up and down of like, oh, it's blown. No, we're fine. Oh, and then, yeah. Quinn realized, like, the piece together of like, the 110th we're looking into, and Reacher was in the 110th. Oh shit, Reacher's already fucking sprinting across the lawn.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed how well this episode showed off just how sinister and horrific Quinn is in the head.
Yes.
Like, that's not even just I'm a bad guy. I do naughty business gun deals or anything. That is a truly sick motherfucker.
Yeah, the Russian roulette making him do that. So then after that, he's like, "Oh, I want to complete my pair." Like once the kids
I
over
want a
here.
matching set. He's like, yeah, take a shot. It's got one bullet loaded, but if you don't kill me, Paulie's literally gonna rip you and your dad to pieces.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
The LMG got fired. Finally. Although I don't think that's. I'm still.
That is not the end of it.
No, I'm still convinced Reacher's going to have that in his hands at some point.
Yeah, it's Chekhov's gun. You don't show it off that obviously in like the first episode for that to be the only time it's used. It would be poor form.
I'm still intrigued to see, because I do think he still tries to get the kid out. Whether he gets the dad out, I don't. It might be a case of dad ends up going to prison.
I think the dad's going to sacrifice himself to get the son out safely.
Possibly. I think the kid gets out. I think Reacher also tries to get the older lady maid out. And it's going to be in like some moment where she's a bit like arsey at times with him. And, like,
there's something about her that I won't be surprised if she's got a military background. And like when bullets start firing, she's like on Reacher's side of it for some fucking reason.
That, or she's going to be like, he's going to be firing a gun down the hallway, and she's going to be like, "Are you going to pick up them bullet shells or something?" Like, there's going to be some like bit of like a "I'm above you" level of comment of like "You're making a mess in my kitchen."
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like, "I'm trying to save you right now." But yeah, it's good. The really next two episodes, this penultimate and the finale, obviously big gunfights coming. It seems like it's going to be this whole party.
Yeah, it's really boiled over here, and I'm loving it. I'm really curious to see exactly how it ends. I can't wait to see Reacher get his revenge on Quinn.
And I hope Quinn pieces it together right before that.
Because you just know Reacher is not going to just shoot him in the head. He's going to beat him mercilessly for all the evil shit he's done. But we've been saying it all season, making the story kind of smaller location-wise. And the way they've used the tension of it being undercover has been nothing short of phenomenal. Yeah, and it just keeps improving.
It's sort of lent back into season 1 a little bit in that was very local to the town, and local business, and like they've kind of fallen into that with the added level of okay, he's undercover, and we've built on that, and a bit more of the action's been built on more. Yeah, it's been good.
And go on.
I was gonna say I'm also looking forward to Paulie. They've got to have their final.
That fist fight's going to go off.
They're currently 1-for-1, so it's got to go to round 3.
And also, Reach Season 3 has become Prime Video's biggest ever series.
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
well deserved.
I don't think we need to worry about it getting renewed or anything like that. I think it should be pretty good. And completely agree. It is absolutely well deserved. Everything good about season 1 and 2, they've dialed in on and they've improved on, and any areas that were a bit weak, they've worked on. I literally have zero complaints. It's been such good TV, and I can't wait to watch these last 2 episodes.
Same.
Awesome. Daredevil.
Yes.
Episode 4. My boy's back.
Frank is back.
My boy's back. We're going to jump all over the place. Fuck chronological order. Let's talk about the end. I love superhero shows, right? Because yes, they have outlandish accent, they have ridiculous costumes, they have sometimes supernatural abilities. But you know me, I'm a big believer in people just don't respect the setting enough and realise how brilliant it can be for telling stories. Similarly to how we've talked very deeply about Invincible making you question yourself. Frank and Matt both having such strict rules about how they operate and being on complete opposite sides and having essentially philosophical debates is always Daredevil at its best, right?
Yeah.
This conversation in this episode is up there with the rooftop scene from Daredevil season 2.
Yes.
The acting is phenomenal. They've both become better actors since that scene. You can just see that phenomenal acting. I don't ever want to hear anyone ever again claim that superhero shows can't be superhero-y, like we saw in other parts of the episode, and serious and beautiful all at the same time. The acting was phenomenal. The bouncing back and forth, the way he refers to him as Matt and Red and Counselor, like to build into it. The mannerisms, it was some of the best acting we've seen in the MCU period. Films, TV, whatever. That is one of the Mount Rushmore scenes for me of what it's about. It is so good.
It was so well written.
Like
them sort of questioning each other's morals and both somewhat being right. And like, while they may not agree on each other's actions at times, they both actually sit at the same beliefs of things, which is what is always great about them too, and was in the Netflix show. And it's a pick up right back into that, and in a more polished way, because it's Disney, like, so good.
It's beautiful as well, because I think why the Punisher is so good, because there's characters similar to the Punisher, right? But the reason the Punisher is so good is because he doesn't bother himself with stuff as trivial as right and wrong. It's not about that. It's about what he feels is needed. People need to be safe from criminals, so he will handle that. He views it as a responsibility. It's an extension of him being a soldier, right? His job as a soldier was to fight and kill bad guys to protect people. He stopped doing that when he came home from being a soldier. And as a result of that, in his mind, his family died. So he goes back to doing that. It's not about whether he's doing good or bad. He literally doesn't care about whether you view it as good or bad. It needs to be done. These people will keep making things worse unless I stop them. Whereas Matt operates on the idea of good and bad. He wants to do good, which is why he struggles so much with the idea of being a vigilante across the original series and this. Because it's a case of, am I doing more good as Daredevil? Or if I focus all my attention on being a lawyer, can I do more good there?
Yeah, and
and that's why they work.
Yeah, we saw him mentally battling with that, with what Frank was pushing him with questions of being like, so Bullseye just gets to go to prison, get his slot, breathe the same air, and Matt's like, I did. What was that? I gave it to the system and I let the system do it. And Frank's like, yeah, but has it worked? You don't feel any better. Like,
and that's the beauty of it.
Matt being like, he's got life. So then Frank goes, did what? And Foggy got life? And like really pushing those questions, making Matt ask himself the hard questions of this whole situation.
And this is what I love about Frank, right? You've got a lot of people out, like you've got a lot of characters who happily kill bad guys. But none will argue for what they're doing as staunchly as Punisher. Because he's like, no, I'm doing it's like no one wants to be the guy who has to pick up the dog shit, right? But it's got to be done. And that's how Punisher views himself. He's like, no one wants to do what I have to do, but someone's got to do it, and I'm willing to carry that burden. And he's just sick of being kind of judged for that by someone like Daredevil, who he views as actually, yeah, what you're doing is kind of helping, but if you just took on 5% of the way I do it, you'd get so much more accomplished.
I do think we're going to see him maybe pick up a bit of Matt's thinking of what's right and wrong, in the sense of like, I was surprised a little bit of how he responded to Matt telling him there's people using his logo, and he was like, oh, they're just fanboys, even though they're like he knew the. I think it's it's going to sink in a bit of like, he's going to go, you know what, no, this isn't right. Cops are meant to be the good guy. Like they shouldn't be using my logo. And then I think that's where we're going to see this Punisher that doesn't like a dirty cop using his logo.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we're not going to actually really see how he feels about it till he's face to face with them, and we're going to get some like moral thing.
I think he's going to discover a cop using the Punisher logo hurting or killing an innocent person, and that'll be the moment the switch goes in his head and he's like, right, this has to stop.
Yeah, or it's going to be like he's going to bump into one, they're going to fanboy, and then he's going to witness them kill the wrong person or something, and he's going to be like, the fuck are you doing?
The only other thing I want to talk about before we move on to the rest of the episode, because it is genuine fucking art. The last kind of montage of the episode,
yes,
between Fisk and Matt,
the mirroring,
the squealing I did like a little girl, right? As you've got King. So this entire episode is both of them struggling with their true selves, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the episode, you see Fisk like visibly getting angry and then like calming himself down, because what he wants to do instinctively is crush the person's head. But he calms himself down and tries to do what he's training himself to do. Matt wants to beat the shit out of that dirty cop.
Yeah.
He's even antagonizing the cop to try and get the cop to hit him so that he can hit him back.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to stop himself from doing that. When he goes to see Frank, he hits Frank
and then
instinctively. And then he apologizes because he doesn't want to be that person. And then, after all that build-up, you get the Kingpin, who is now being good and pure, descending into the darkness with the stairs, right? That shot of Kingpin coming from the light down into the darkness to reveal his true self, gorgeous. What do we have straight after that? Matt going from the bottom darkness, ascending up the brightly lit stairs, up onto the roof to where he's like literally one ascending down and one ascending up to their true position, because they are ironically the devil is going towards heaven because of just like the symbolism of it all. And then you get to see their true selves. Kingpin back downstairs eating an unhealthy massive meal and being greedy and enjoying the suffering of someone he's put in a cell.
Yeah.
And then you've got Matt practicing as Daredevil, getting his equipment out. Like that parallels it. Fucking gorgeous. I know people had their issues with the first two episodes, but you cannot tell me this show isn't a masterpiece.
Well, they've done this from the get-go this season. Like in that first episode, it ended with the blue lighting of Kingpin on the top and the red lighting on Matt on the street. And we saw that like they've been mirroring it the whole way through this season. And this is just the next step of that, of like you say, them starting to show they're giving in to going back to their old selves for different reasons and whatnot. I mean, we talked about it last week. I brought up like we were shown Fisk having bloody knuckles. What does this mean? Is he actually being shady, or is it just him training and doing something and maybe it's nothing? It was clearly him actually has been shady. He's just been hiding it. The meal is even better when you consider several times when we're shown Fisk with Vanessa and they're having breakfast or something, he's eating like egg whites and nothing else. Like he is having the most minimal meal, to which you're like, oh, he's changed. He's very like having these minimal meals. Like he is a completely different character to what he was. So then it shows, no, he's just quietly being greedy. He's just eating that meal in quiet while listening to this person that's seemingly vanished. Oh no, he put him in a cell and he's just punishing him that way. Meanwhile, Matt has his secret little lair on the roof, his little wardrobe hidden away in whatever that little roof access room was.
I assume it's like a utility closet, because I know a lot of buildings in New York have like a rooftop garden or something like that. So maybe it's like where people can put like their brooms and shit.
But then him showing that, and I reckon he's probably still been doing that regularly, just not being.
Exercise is key.
Yeah, and like, but keeping up with his form, and like, it's probably like his regular thing to do. It's just we're now getting to see them visibly showing. It's showing us them both doing it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
No, the all of that was so cool. The little tease of all the different suits as well.
Just so gorgeous. But the core of this episode
Mm,
is Kingpin trying to get his like Red Hook plans going through,
yes.
and Matt has been given he's trying to deal with the death of Hector, and
Yes.
also he's been given another pro bono case he needs to go deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it now. I'm just gonna mention it again. Having recently binged all of the old Netflix shows, one thing that always felt off, and I've complained about this in the MCU at times as well, is how it's kind of doesn't want to be comic book shows, right? And what I mean by that is like they talk about like the big green dude. They don't make like comic book style references. They don't like using the code names. They don't like doing any of that. And then in this show, we've had the talk of like he didn't even have his magical amulet on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this, we have him going, "Could it have been a scroll?" Brilliant. And then later on, you have the Punisher calling him Bullseye.
Yeah.
Like they're referring to them as like the code names, which has always been a big problem in the MCU. They don't like using the code names because it's not serious enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then walking that back a little bit, it doesn't take out of the realism at all. It just makes it feel like it's actually a superhero-filled world.
Yeah.
And it's adding so much stuff that I never considered. I loved after Matt talks to his client, and his client's like, no, you've got to get me probation. You've got to get me probation. And he goes up there and he like flirts with the ADA. Yeah. Again, love the comic book accuracy because I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Matt Murdock is a Catholic whore. Flirting with her, debating the rights and wrongs, and does this prison system work? Love how this show is not pulling its punches on the opinion of the police and the criminal justice system. Does incarceration actually work as a deterrent? Clearly not. This man's got a rap sheet longer than God himself with 30-day increments. It's clearly not helping him.
No.
And then obviously the phenomenal quote of they'd rather spend 5 times the money locking me up for 30 days than feeding me.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt being like at first kind of a bit pushbacky on this guy to when the guy finally lays out what he's going through, and Matt's like, well, can't argue with him because he knows he's right. He's just trying to get him the best deal he can.
And I think that's what's I like to think that's what's going to bring Matt back to being Daredevil. It's not going to be I need to take down big bad criminals. It's going to be a case of the system I believe in is failing people.
Yeah.
It's got police officers who are abusing the system and committing crimes, and then someone who steals a bag of cereal they want to send to prison for a month.
Yeah, it's gonna be he's gonna repeatedly be shown this system that he keeps saying to himself and to people, I'm trusting the system, and he's gonna keep seeing the system fail. That it's like it then goes, am I just lying? Like it's gonna make him self-reflect on like, well, if I'm believing this thing and it's not working, like what the fuck am I even believing in? Sort of attitude, and that's gonna push him back. I really enjoyed as well the Latvia stuff that was mentioned.
I was desperate for it to be Latveria.
I think it's meant. I feel like that's what they're sort of.
I don't know.
Towards.
I don't know if it is or what, but it would have been really cool if it had been Latveria. But I get why they've not done it. We don't have any acknowledgement of Latveria in the current MCU or of Doom, so I get why they didn't want to just do it in a TV show. But it would have been really cool if they made it Latveria.
I mean, if it is, and this is just them setting the little groundwork for like this place exists, I mean, I'm all for it. The White Tiger setup as well with his niece, like, obviously we're not going to see that anytime soon.
We might see it in season 2.
Okay, but like, yeah, that clearly set up of like, oh, here's his niece. She's got a little bit more airtime now, so you know who's going to take on the mantle.
It's going to be really cool, man.
Also, is it Daniel, the young lad that's Fisk's little... He clearly sees him a bit of a son, bit of like this super loyal lackey.
I'm really curious about what the fuck's going on there.
I think he likes this idea of someone being this loyal to him and sees him a bit of as a son. The problem is, I think he's going to screw up again, and Fisk is going to end up showing his old ways and maybe crushing his head. To which that guy's then going to, Daniel's going to kind of, this picture of who Fisk is going to be shattered. And he's not going to be able to cope with this idea that this person he's just idolized is a monster and is probably now going to like try and kill him or something. I think that's what's going to happen there.
If we don't get another parallel scene of Matt suiting up as Daredevil for the first time as Fisk like crushes someone's skull, I don't want it. Because at this point, with the amount of parallels they've done, the notion of Fisk committing like his first murder as Matt suits up as Daredevil again is beautiful, because they both promised each other they won't slip back into their old habits, and the notion of them both like getting that first hit again at the same time would be.
Do you know
cinema.
what it'll be? It'll be a shot of Fisk putting on his white suit as Matt puts on his own suit, and then we'll get a shot of Matt punching up his first bad guy while Fisk beats up his first.
And obviously, the other big thing this episode, we got a bit of Muse.
Oh, we did. Muse
at the beginning and end of the episode.
Teased and set up that he's about and stealing people and harvesting their blood, I presume, for artwork.
I love how creepy they've made him. Genuinely creepy. Jenna was not enjoying him, not because she thought it was bad. She was like, "Oh no, he's the way his eyes come through the mask." They've done costumes, done a phenomenal job. The actor's done a phenomenal job. The way the light was low, and it felt like a horror villain, right? This is what I always talk about. Some of the best villains are villains that feel like they're in the wrong genre. And they do that with Muse in the comics. In the comics, Muse can't be detected by Matt. Matt can't sense him. He's like a void of it almost, which is what he almost has to use to keep track of him during a fight. Like the lack of anything. And that's really funny to me, because it's like Muse just being able to disappear from someone who should be impossible to disappear from makes him an anomaly, because there's no real evidence that he has superpowers.
Yes.
So him being like a horror villain inside a comic book works really well. So him having this creepy underground base where you got bodies on meat hooks and he's draining blood for his paintings and stuff. He's just so like vampire-y and creepy. It's so good.
Maybe he's supplying blood to some local vampires that maybe a certain blade is handling.
Maybe if that Blade film would come out when it was supposed to, they could have done that.
I do
such a good episode.
Muse is going to be the big part of the next episode.
I imagine these next two parts are going to end with him dealing with Muse.
Yeah, there's going to be Muse kind of revealed to the general public and Matt finding out about him. Matt probably having to deal with him as Daredevil. Still intrigued to see what happens when Matt finds out his new girlfriend, who's pretty much already moved in, they like to move quick, is the therapist for Fisk. I love if she pushes for him and Fisk to sit down for therapy.
Well, it's funny because like she knows he has history with Fisk as well.
But if she tries to sit down because she's like, well, I'm seeing him make a change, I think you should sit down and talk with him. And he's like, hang on, you're doing therapy for Fisk? And then he maybe agrees to it. And like, she's getting the way they're talking about each other, she's like, this is a strange lawyer versus criminal relationship that's going on here.
But I know people had mixed opinions after the first two episodes. If you're watching this and you kind of weren't sure after the first two episodes 3 and 4 are literally so good. So good. I think this show is as good as it has ever been. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I hope we get a lot more Frank.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the kind of descent of both Fisk and Matt back into their roles as Kingpin and Daredevil. I love having secondary villains. Yes, Fisk is the main villain of the show, but we know Bullseye escapes at some point or gets released at some point or something goes on there. Muse is cutting about.
The dirty cops.
The dirty cops. This is what, like, we spoke about Invincible a couple of weeks ago. You've got to respect comic book media is different.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing that we should take from comic book media when we convert to live action, though, is the way we tell our stories.
Mm.
And very rarely is that as linear as the way we are doing it currently, when they just focus on one villain and they've just got to get this thing done.
Yeah.
Normally, you've got a bigger villain plotting in the background, in this case, Fisk.
Mm-hmm.
And while the hero's kind of waiting for them to do something that they can actually do something about, they're dealing with smaller but still pressing issues, like dirty cops and a serial killer bleeding people dry.
Yeah.
That they're like dealing with while they're waiting to see what the bad guy's up to. And that they've set that kind of up beautifully, and I hope they continue to play with that idea, and I hope it continues to be received really well, so that we can then go, right, now keep doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
And after the return of Punisher, we've also got the return of Josh for another month of gaming news. Hello, Josh. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
It's been a bit of a dry month, to be completely honest. Love the segue, by the way, as always. Last month we spoke that it was going to start picking up, and I think I jinxed it. But I think this month, I think next month's episode will have a lot to feedback on, which we'll talk.
Yeah.
Games that we discussed last month that have got some scores now. Lost Records, Rage and Bloom Take 1, and Avowed, I think dropped on the day or the day before we recorded last month, so they didn't have scores yet. Lost Records has got a 74, which is disappointing for me. I will be playing it and recording it. I think part 2 comes out in April, early April, I think. I believe it's on Game Pass and PS Plus. So
Okay.
Decent.
Check that one out. Avowed, another one I want to check out, but simply haven't got the time at the minute. 80, which one of us had it in the Fantasy Critic. Can't remember who.
I think it was Joel.
Was it Joel? Right, okay. 80, I mean, it's not horrendous. Maybe people thought it was going to be a bit better than 80. I'm hearing mixed things, but it might be an accurate score. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, hell of a name, 79. PGA
That's
Tour.
quite low for a Like a Dragon game. I feel like Dragon games normally review quite well, no?
I feel like this is more of like a spin-off. It's not like a main title.
Still got me some points.
Yeah, 79. I mean, what's that? 9 points? I can't remember how to. I've not checked that in weeks. I need to go and have a look. Sports Season is among us. PGA Tour got an 80, which, I mean, they're always pretty good games. I saw Nadeshot playing it. It looked pretty decent, but it's just the same every year, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
I noticed they spent a lot more money marketing it via streamers and YouTubers this year. So I don't know if that's because they have more faith in this game, or if they're like, a lot of big YouTubers now also play golf. Let's capitalize on that market.
When did 2K take it over? Because it wasn't always 2K.
The PGA 2K game started in 22, I want to say, or maybe 21.
Okay. So maybe
there was like a big break, and then they came back, I'm pretty sure. And maybe, like you say, that people are being pushed, because I remember when Topspin 2K25 dropped last year, a lot of streamers were advertising that, so maybe similar type of thing. And then we got two big boys. Monster Hunter Wilds, which dropped late February, 89. I don't believe any of us three have played it yet. I was sort of on the fence, but because it's got an 89, I was sort of waiting for reviews. But I mean, that's got to put it in the top 5 games of this year so far. I could only imagine we're only in March, and an 89 is pretty solid. And then Split Fiction, a 91. I mean, we knew it was going to do well. Con, you were lucky enough to pick that up in our Fantasy Critic. An absolute. I'm pretty sure that puts it like first or second in terms of game releases this year.
I believe so.
On Metacritic scores.
Yeah, I think first.
Me and Jord are playing it through together. I think we're about 5 or 6 hours in, and we're having a great time. It is
What I've heard is the story isn't quite as good as It Takes Two, which makes sense. It Takes 2 is a phenomenal narrative, but the leaps and bounds in like the gameplay experience makes up for all of that.
It's literally what we've said so far. We're not really invested in the story at all, which is a bit of a shame. But the gameplay and visually, the game just looks unbelievable. Like if this was like a God of War or like a AAA title, some of the scenes and settings that you're in, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. You'd assume it was like one of those games. But we're loving it so far. I believe it's like a 15-hour game, so we've still got loads left.
All I've seen is many clips of people doing the mobile phone thing on the back of the bike.
all the captchas and stuff.
We had that the other day, and it was Jord who was doing that, and I can't confirm he was stressing out. It was really funny. And then finally, the Rise of the Ronin PC port, sitting at 73, was a 76 on PS5. So it seems whenever a PS5 game gets ported to PC at the minute, there must be issues because they're always scoring lower.
There's another way you could look at that.
I'm never saying anything bad. Which is unfortunate. Sony need to sort that out. Obviously, we had the same issues with Spider-Man, which we discussed last episode or the one before. Something that hopefully they can get on top of. And then when I was doing my notes, the yet to release because I always time it. I didn't cover late April because obviously we'll be covering that in next month's episode. But there was only really 3 big games that I know we would sort of be following to release up until then. We've got Assassin's Creed Shadows, which drops tomorrow as we're recording. My pre-order has been dispatched. I'm very much looking forward to it. Hearing very good things, which I'm surprised about. I think on OpenCritic at the minute, it's only sitting on an 82, but all the, say, Valhalla, for instance, looked great, but it was way too long, and the reviews weren't glowing. Whereas I'm seeing a lot of 9s out of 10s, a lot of 4 out of 5s from big review teams and stuff like that. So
I've seen a couple saying it's the best since Black Flag, which I think is incredibly high praise.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to that. We'll be going for the Platinum Trophy on that, and that's probably going to take a stupid amount of time. First Berserker Kazan, 27th of March. Then South of Midnight, which I've watched a few podcasts about because the embargo got lifted a few weeks ago. Okay reviews, nothing too crazy. I believe that is on Game Pass day 1.
Yeah.
To my best knowledge. And that's 8th of April. But apart from that, there's a lot of shovelware, a couple of indie games on PC. I think Steam are doing a big sale at the minute, and I know PlayStation have got a big...
I got so many notifications from multiple apps going,
this game on your wishlist is in the sale.
Yeah, fucking ridiculous, mate.
I've had the same. But yeah, apart from that, we're pretty quiet, to be honest, until next month's episode. Hopefully there'll be more to discuss. More people will...
GTA 6 trailer?
If we get that in April, imagine. To be fair, I think by next month's episode, we might have the Nintendo Direct to discuss.
Yeah, that's supposed to be early April.
4th of April or 2nd of April, because I remember we got confused with the dates, didn't we, last time? So we'll have that to discuss next month. So fingers crossed, some dates and more dates to discuss for different games and potentially the console itself. Announcements, news, and updates. So Con loves when I talk about The Last of Us, so I thought I had to include this straight away. Sony announced and released pre-orders for The Last of Us DualSense.
So is this a remastered one, or is this...
This is the first of its kind.
It's a remastered DualSense, so it's a broken one they've refurbed.
I think there might have been a DualShock 4 Last of Us, but this is completely different. You can pre-order that on PlayStation Direct. Yes, I have ordered mine for my collection. Cannot wait. It's actually a really nice controller.
Yeah, I was about to say, let me Google this and see what it looks like.
It's really not as good as the OG PlayStation one, though, is it? Let's be honest.
Oh, no.
Last of Us DualSense.
I still haven't used mine. I've been too scared to use mine, so it just sits on the shelf.
I mean, that's valid.
Oh, it's actually
like
kind of boring.
With like, no, it's got glossy like decals on it. I will be there. I'm a sucker for a sort of collab.
I'm just like when you talk about that one though, then you compare it to like the Spider-Man one, right? There's a lot more design that's gone into that, I feel.
I don't like black controllers. I'm always a sucker for bright colors. I've got 3 grey, 3 white, 2 blue, and this white and black one. I don't know what it is. I think where I have sweaty hands when I game, if I get a black controller, it really shines. So I'm always a big advocate for brighter controllers which don't show it up as much. So I will very much be there.
That's a white controller that really shows the grime in the
Yeah.
cracks.
No, I don't really get grimy. I just get sweaty hands. So it's perfect for me. A big one. Referee. One that I saw a lot of pop on Twitter. Activision announced a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake to be released on the 11th of July. This is essentially the same games with more skaters, more areas, the same OG soundtracks with some new additions as well. So it's pretty much what everyone in the community who's like a big Tony Hawk fan wanted and more. I didn't play the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake.
No. That
heard
didn't
very
get
good
reviews.
Yeah, I heard very mixed reviews, to be fair. I feel like the casual player loved it, but it wasn't necessarily what the die-hard fans wanted. Whereas
Got ya.
from what I've heard, the 3 and 4 remake is and will be. I can imagine if this one's successful, they'll carry on doing all the Undergrounds, American Wastelands.
Yeah.
So I might be there. I'll probably wait till see what the reviews are like
Fair enough.
before purchasing that one. And then one I think we all mentioned in the Discord a couple of weeks ago, Fable has unfortunately been delayed until 2026, which obviously it's disappointing, but at the same time, a game that big, and I mean, when was Fable 3? Like
2008,
like
6?
something stupid. It was on Xbox 360, so it was a very long time ago. I'd rather them wait until it's ready.
2010. I was wrong.
Even still, 15 years we've waited for a new one. I'd very much rather than wait for it to be ready.
What do we get first, GTA 6 or Fable 4?
Well, this is the thing. Do you think part of it is the game isn't ready, but also when is GTA coming out? Because Xbox have got to be thinking like, this is a big game. Well, like, we don't want it to be crowded.
Yeah. That will
and being on Game Pass does hurt them initial sales.
Yeah, Fable.
I mean, I predicted this was going to be delayed. It was my counter pick, so.
Yeah, you counter picked Fable.
I did.
Who picked it? It weren't me.
It was Con, but have you dropped it now?
Yeah.
Well, what a counter pick for you?
I
mean, I think that drops your counter pick and allows you to change it.
It keeps it.
They're not.
I don't think you can drop counter.
Well, the thing is, the counter picks I've realised they're not that great. You just get 0 points if you're right. Like,
I think it's more of a case of if one does rubbish and it does come out.
Yeah, if one gets like 50, you get a boatload of points.
So you can. It's just sort of an extra little bonus, I suppose, if something does go wrong. But yeah, delayed until 2026. Again, I'm very much an advocate for if you don't think the game's going to be ready, delay it. So obviously disappointing, but in the long run, it will hopefully be worth it. What have we been playing? I mean, I think I know what you two have been playing. You two can expand on that, but is my main guess still going to be Marvel Rivals, or have you been dabbling in anything else?
I've played so much in the last month. It's crazy.
Love to hear that.
I've played some Avowed. I've played a very little bit of Indiana Jones. Gorgeous game. I'm now waiting to build my new PC and load it on my new PC just to absolutely crank the fuck out of it because it's such a pretty game. But yeah, I played a bit of Avowed. I enjoyed it.
Avowed so far? Yeah.
I'm maybe like an hour and a half into it, but it's very much a me style of game in the way it plays. My only thing is I'm more of a sci-fi setting dude than a fantasy setting dude. So it'd be more appealing to me if it was the same mechanics but more space. But that's like essentially Starfield.
Bad game.
I've started playing Balotro, which
it's
got me by the balls, man.
I don't think Hori can ever get
as you lot.
He will just
Hori's never allowed. The podcast dies the second he downloads it. I've downloaded Vampire Survivor because that was also on Game
Yes, now
Pass.
another great game.
And I downloaded Mullet Mad Jack. So I've
Oh
literally got
yeah,
out there.
I see you mentioned this.
Yeah.
What's this game?
I've got and downloaded 3 roguelites, which are all completely different, but they're still roguelites. And I've always said I hate roguelites. I've now discovered I just have never played a roguelite that suits me. So you got Blockro, which is obviously poker based, Vampire Survivor, which is like 2D side scroller, fucking so much fun. And then Mullet Mad Jack is on Game Pass as well, so fucking hilarious game. It's like you know, Raid, the old action film where you got to work through like the floors.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it's that kind of idea,
Oh,
but you're
yeah.
like a Duke Nukem style protagonist, and you get like a 10-second life timer, but every time you kill someone, you get like 2 seconds more.
It goes up. Okay.
And you've got to work your way through all the levels, and you get like
Without the
power
time
ups and
running out.
stuff.
Okay.
And you can get pretty fucking crazy with it, and it's a lot of fun. It's pretty weird, and you feel like you're going a million miles an hour, and then you get like a very little bit of respite, and then you've got to go again. But yeah, no, a lot of fun at the minute. I've also just been dabbling in some other bits, but Marvel Rivals has still got a decent amount of time. I've not played any ranked in a little while though.
Neither have I, to be honest. I've been playing Marvel Rivals a lot still. I've then also, with my IRLs, been playing Repo. I don't know if any of you guys have seen streamers and stuff playing that.
I've heard about it. I've not watched any
Only
of
a
it.
little bit.
It's a lot of fun. It's basically a new version of like the Lethal Company, if you remember when that was popping off. Same sort of concept. You go into a level, you collect items, there's monsters. It's just got some very fun, like it has text to speech if you do type in chat, which is just adds a bit of humor. The items will break and will be fragile and stuff, so that's like another. There's a lot of chaos will happen, which always creates humor. But yeah, other than that, it's been Marvel Rivals and a little bit of Fragpunk. Actually, I gave Fragpunk.
Oh, I have seen you on Discord playing that.
Go.
Any thoughts? I've seen a couple of clips on TikTok. Nothing too major yet.
I don't think it'll be like the bit. It's not gonna take over like Marvel Rivals has, but I think it's a fun take on that genre of like the sort of search and destroy game mode. The arcadiness is a lot of fun.
When like X Defiant and Spectre Divide haven't even managed to survive a year, does this?
I think it does because it's a Chinese dev and the like Chinese games monetize like mad, and they don't abandon, and like the Chinese player base they happily pump money into those games. So
well, not to get political, there is an element of they're limited on what they can play a little bit more. So if this game is made in China and seen as acceptable, they know that game's not going to go anywhere for them, so they can play it.
Yeah, and also I know from like playing MMOs and stuff that are more Asian studio based, they have a different cultural opinion on cosmetics. Like we buy them because we think they look cool, and like what we like is general rule is you buy a skin because you think it looks cool. They will spend money to flex money. So like they will spend loads on cosmetics to be like.
Is that why Valorant's so expensive? Because they know they've got the huge Asian market.
Possibly.
Probably.
But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. The arcade card side of it creates some funny rounds. Like there's some funny ones like you can sleep to regain health, so you literally lie down on the floor and start sleeping. There's Ricochet that'll make the map icy so everyone can slide around. It can remove a site or add an extra site to plant at and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's one of those games where like I'll hop on it probably every now and then and give it a go, but I don't think it'll be a mainstay game for me.
Good.
What have you been playing?
Might be one that we could be worth checking out between us.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm done to download it.
It's free to play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think I'm very much like until I got my new PC built by like probably this time next month. I'm probably not downloading any new games because then if I like it, I have to then reinstall it again. And so I'm not doing it. Whatever games are currently installed, I'm playing. Other than that, it can fucking wait.
I mean, that's pretty valid. Myself, what have I been playing, Hori? I have been playing Silent Hill 2. I'm not recording this. I'm just sort of chilling out, playing it on my own time. Always in the evening. It's got to be dark when you play a horror game, in my opinion. Quite a way in now. Probably 10 or so hours in. I'd say having a good time, pooing my pants.
You should screen share it with me while you're playing so I can watch, and then I'll be like immersive jump scares.
Immersive jump scares. It's very. I played it on PS2 back in the day. My dad, for some reason, let me. I was literally probably like 6 or 7 years old. And there's a lot that I'm playing now that I don't remember. So obviously I didn't get very far when I was younger.
I feel like that every time I play a game I remember from my childhood. I like played 2 hours and I'm like, this is further than I ever got.
Yeah,
I spent 100 hours in this game and didn't get past the first 2 hours of content.
I feel like when I have think about it now, I'm pretty sure every time I play Silent Hill 2, I started from the beginning. So like, I was just playing the same bits.
You have a memory card.
So yeah, very much enjoying that. Dragon Age: The Veilguard was one that originally reviews were okay, but I hadn't played a Dragon Age game before. It wasn't really on my radar. I thought I might check it out one day. And then it got added to PS Plus, so it was free. So I thought,
I added it to my library when I saw that. I was like, oh, I'll keep it in that pocket.
Because it was no longer £45, I thought I might dabble. I might dabble in this. I'm 20 hours in, 25 hours, having an absolute blast. What a video game this is.
Sweet.
The game looks unbelievable. The story's okay. I'm not like fully in love with it, but the gameplay is great. Really, really good. The combat is fun. There's so many different abilities that you can equip. There's like 6 to 8 different companions you can have in your team. You have 2 of them at a time. You can customize all of their abilities, all of their weapons, all of their armor.
Wait,
huge
one of them
skill
people
tree.
who uses companions in games?
In this one, you have to.
Oh, that's it. No, burn it with fire. I'm forever a lone wolf. I've never had a companion in a video game that doesn't piss me off.
In this one, you have to, because like the quest lines, sometimes you have to have one of them because they've got a certain ability that you need.
Oh,
so each
crazy.
character's
Sounds like
got their own unique
Do
ability.
they block doorways?
No, they're very good. They do stay out the way.
Okay, maybe it's
Until
not a
you're
problem
in combat, you don't really notice them, in my opinion. There is dialogue obviously going on in the background, but
waffling.
There is a lot of waffle, and there's times it's just classic sort of open world games where, say, you get interrupted by your companions are having a dialogue conversation. A cutscene interrupts it. Instead of carrying it on, they'll repeat the whole start of the conversation, which sometimes is really jarring. It is what it is. Very much enjoying it. It's just taken a long time. I believe the platinum's between 50 and 60 hours, so I'm probably only halfway through, which isn't ideal because I want to. I mentioned earlier I've got Assassin's Creed Shadows coming tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play that, but I don't want to have 2 such big games going on at once. My hard drive simply hasn't got the space for all the footage on that one. But yeah, Dragon Age and Silent Hill, very much enjoying. PS games at the minute, again, always got Balotro going on. I've got it on my iPad and on Steam, 2 separate accounts. Some at very different stages, so it gets confusing mixing between the 2. But in general, just having a great time gaming at the minute, which is always nice. No downtime, still getting through the backlog, which is very good. The pod for this month, I can't even remember what we discussed last month. It feels like we're always discussing GTA. So I wanted to
make sure that's definitely not happening.
We won't be discussing GTA.
I mean, there's not really anything else to discuss at the moment on GTA. So.
Not until there's a date, no. Instead, we're going to be talking about a franchise that's very different to GTA, Pokemon. We're going to be sort of discussing the state of Pokemon in 2025 because there's such... What's the word I'm looking for? It's just in such a weird state at the minute across everything, because obviously there's so many different forms that Pokemon takes on. I'm sure you would have seen Pokemon Go has been purchased by a Saudi company, PIF, for $2.7 billion.
Is it crazy of me to say that seems cheap?
probably
Like, surely Pokemon Go was making so much more money than that.
now I don't know how well, like, say in the last year.
Yeah, it's not.
I know, like, even
as
like
big
2
as it
years
once
ago, it was still
was.
making money. I stopped playing last summer, I think. Pretty much
I-
when I moved out, I just stopped playing.
I also wouldn't be surprised if TCG Pocket has kind of cannibalized some of the players.
So they've just gone, fuck it, we'll sell it while we can still get good value for it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, just in terms of in-game purchases, like, that goes crazy. Everything's so expensive in that game, and Pokemon Go is very much pay to win, in my opinion. You can have a free account and have fun, but to get the best Pokemon, you have to constantly be participating in raids. If you don't have any raid passes, you have to pay for them. There's no way around it. But yeah, they've been bought by Scopely, who you may know as the owner of Monopoly Go, which I've never played.
Neither have I assumed that was made by the same people who made Pokemon Go this entire time. I've got to be honest.
I've played Monopoly Go. It's weird. It's not. It's not like Pokemon
Do you have to like
Go.
walk to roll?
No, no. Like, you build out boards and like play on a board, and then like when you level up, you get like a new themed board. And I did
What's
it
the
like
Go element? Is it just like you can play on the go?
probably. It's just because it's like you constantly can keep playing. Like there's no like, oh, game's done, like in Monopoly.
Got ya.
It's one of those where like a typical mobile game, you play it for like a day or two, do a bunch of levels, and like, okay, I've just been playing the same thing on board now, and that gets deleted off my phone.
But from what I read, they're also raking in like
Probably.
billions of pounds.
Oh, I
like,
see adverts for them on like
purchases.
TikTok and Instagram constantly.
Like all mobile games, it'll be, oh, you've got this many charges and you've run out. Buy some more, buy some gems, like all the usual.
So I'm interested. I've not read anything because I still follow a couple of Pokemon Go creators across different platforms. I haven't watched any videos or read any articles on what their thoughts are yet. I don't know how this will impact what's going on in game, because I know there is a lot of in-game events and there's different community days throughout the year. How the new owners will go about that, because obviously I don't know like the release schedule and how much content Monopoly Go gets. So hopefully it doesn't just sort of
but
the content doesn't go down. I'm not sure.
The owners and the devs will be separate. It's just how much like the owners want to push certain things on the devs to create, or if they're just happy with how it is and it's just like, oh,
they're like, that's great. We would just like to be the beneficiary.
Yeah, we just want the money.
You're laughing.
So,
but there's a real danger they might come in and go make everything twice as expensive, and also we're firing half of you to maximize profits.
Also could happen.
It is a strange one, and I'm hoping for the people that do still play that it will work out well, and hopefully they won't just try and milk even more money, because then people will have no money left, because that game is already so pay to win.
Yeah.
And then Horry, you mentioned it could, or Con, it might have been you, I do apologise, sort of linked it to TCG Pocket with the expansion of that. That is also, as we know, bringing in a shit ton of money in-game
that's
purchases.
got to be making an ungodly amount of money, an unfathomable amount of money.
Considering I've seen there's someone has spent the max amount of money they can every day since it came out.
Is there like a daily limit?
Yeah, so because it's a Chinese app, there are limits on like how much you can.
That's hilarious. They are limiting how much you can spend a day, and they are still making more money than God.
Because there's laws in China, so they can't go around. Like, but like someone had spent the most.
Breaking news: China has laws. More at 11.
I think it was before Triumphant Light I saw this, but someone had reached 10,000 cards.
Christ.
Yeah. And then there's people that have done things where like spend like buying poker gold to like get a god pack or whatever, and like obviously spent thousands of pounds before they've got a god pack. So yeah, people are burning
it's a weird
money on
one
this
for
game.
me, because I feel like it's very much you don't need to spend money on this game.
No.
And
I think
you don't need to spend money on most mobile games.
Yeah, of course. But like in this one specifically,
Yeah, I would say out of all MOBAs,
This is one of the better balance for freemium players for sure.
Getting the 2 packs a day, 12 hours apart, it hits often enough that you're like, I don't need to pay. But keeps you playing.
I think we should use this app as like a screener for people who have a gambling addiction or like are more likely to become addicted to gambling. Because if you can't wait the 12 hours for your pack, you probably need to set limits on stuff.
I've definitely rolled high on my deception check then.
But like all of us in our group, we've almost complete. Oh, fair enough, valid.
I got sick of not having the best collection.
I know the rest of us are still playing daily, and we've complete or almost complete most of the sets.
Yeah,
like, obviously I know I've complete 2, and there's a couple where like you need like 5 cards, and you just have to keep rolling until you get it.
Yeah, and then
obviously with the addition of trading, I know a few of us completed some of the older sets by trading. So the fact that you need a lot of people to spend money, obviously you spend money on whatever you want, but it's just crazy to me. And obviously we had the triumphant like expansion shadow drop at the Pokemon Presents. There were 75 more cards. I'm assuming people are going crazy spending money trying to get them, which we've all got like the top cards essentially.
Yeah. It's just people wanting to speed run that probably mainly do a lot of PvP on their game. So that if you want to be doing PvP all the time and like that's the main goal of your playtime on that, then yeah, you're gonna want the better cards from the new packs. But yeah, there's no need to spend money especially now trading's been added. Like if you're smart about it, you can get all the cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just have friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. I always find if I play a lot of PvP, everyone just sends a friend request anyway.
An inordinate amount of friend requests. So
you're never going to be struggling to find someone to trade with.
I've also had people try and friend me after getting a
like a wonder pick.
Wonder pick. Yeah, wonder pick. Like they clearly got a really good wonder pick off me.
Like,
they're like, I want to friend you. I'm like, no, go away. I don't know who you are.
Is anyone petty like me that if you do a wonder pick and don't get the card you want,
you just
don't send
like
them a thank you?
Yeah. No thumbs up. From me.
I would never do something that petty.
I always give friends a thank you, but if it was some random thing and I didn't get the card that I wanted, I'm like, sorry, you're not getting a thanks. You were useless to me.
And another cool one to note, I have some Japanese friends that I've obviously battled, and they've added me. You can get Japanese variant cards, which is very cool. And if it's a new addition to the decks, it will appear in your decks. First appeared as Japanese, which is a pretty cool feature in my opinion. I've got a few Japanese cards now from doing wonder picks, which is quite nice. But again, going back to PvP, link abilities have been introduced, so it's another aspect to PvP, which freshens things up. I mean, and then I'm assuming in further drops there'll be more link ability cards. So it's just endless, really, I think.
Well, yeah, they're just slowly bringing in actual TCG.
More TCG elements, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And then Pokemon Presents, like I said, was on the 27th of Feb. I was there watching the live, very much excited. As someone who's played the video games religiously every time they come out, I'm very much looking forward to Tsar as everyone else is. We got the first extended trailer. I don't want to get my hopes up because Scarlet and Violet was. It was. Oh, I don't. Whenever I try and I get angry thinking about it because the concept and the actual game is so good, but the actual game is so bad at the same time. Good Lord,
they fumbled the execution.
Oh my!
Phenomenal idea. Fucking horrific execution. Taylor's all this time.
Oh my god, it is the worst looking game I've probably ever seen on the Switch, which is so frustrating because it's a Pokemon game. They shouldn't be releasing bad games like that. Sword and Shield quality wise was better, but which is frustrating. But we got Tsar, which is sort of a follow on from Arceus in the Legends series. One I thought was strange. We got Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile as the starters. So we're getting 2 from the same gen in Chikorita and Totodile, which is strange for me. I will be picking Totodile as I always did back in Silver and Gold.
The boy.
Yeah. But it was strange to me that they had 2 in the same gen.
I saw people joking that it was DEI starters.
Like, I just didn't. because in Arceus, 3 starters all from different gens. So
I
don't know
saw
why they've
some
done this
people
one.
thinking it's because they don't want to do the new gen yet, so they've just picked some favorites from an older
Yeah,
gen.
that's fair enough. I suppose there's so many they could have picked.
Yeah,
But it's valid. Whatever it is, I will be there for Totodile. The setting of the game looks really good. Lumio City in the Kalos region. It's like a big high-techy sci-fi, well, not
version of
sci-fi,
Paris.
you'll like it. Yeah, it looks really good. They showed a lot of new aspects. There's separate parts of the city where there's like essentially Pokemon parks where you can go and just
Their way of doing the tall grass.
pretty much,
element.
yeah. Rather than them just being running around everywhere for you to catch.
Mm.
Cool element. And one that is quite controversial. I think it looks really good. So in battle now, obviously it doesn't like it hasn't been for a while now. But I say that in Arceus, like old school turn-based combat, you just do the move, it appears on screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can now sort of like move and dodge the attacks, and switch out a lot more seamlessly between your Pokemon. So say he's just throwing in fire, you can dodge the fire attack with your grass Pokemon and throw in water, and sort of like it adds a new element, which I personally think is quite cool.
Yeah.
But a lot of the OG hardcore fans are a bit on the fence about it.
I don't know why, because in my
I
head
think
it's
it takes
more...
tactical stuff away from it.
Because
Because it's like you could, it's one of these things, right? For a long time, if you wanted to like deal with reactions and stuff like that, that's what like FPS games were for. It's your reaction versus someone else's. I feel like against the computer, people are just gonna like min max the fuck out of. This is how you never get hit ever again, and it's just like you just master how to dodge. Against the computer, and for some people that ruins a bit like the fun and the danger. And then any kind of PvP elements, it just becomes like once again, it comes down to like reactions and stuff. And when you consider, out of all gaming communities, how high the autism percentage is of Pokemon fans, I can see a lot of them being like, I've always loved Pokemon because I didn't need to have good reflexes, and now I feel like I'm being punished for not having good reflexes. Which is why Pokemon was always like the go-to game. It's like if your child needs to sit there for 10 minutes and decide what they want to do, it's actually not a problem, because it's. I think this, it's happening throughout gaming, blurring lines of what genre is what is kind of hurting us in places, and I think that's how they view this. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I have no horse in this race, but I understand why people who enjoyed it for being a turn-based, you need to outthink and like predict and then get a little bit lucky. They're like, oh, now I just need to be faster than the computer's timer for their move.
It's hard to tell because we saw it, but they didn't go into like loads of detail. I don't think it's going to be like some like sweaty.
So
like there might be a stamina. It's hard
my
to tell
my
without
guess
knowing more
from a
about it.
glance is my brain went to the Final Fantasy combat system.
Yeah,
where like you have the ability to move around and then you pick moves while you like. It's gonna be some blend. I'm on board with it, and I'm also surprises me more people aren't, because to me, this blends closer to what we all remember from the Pokemon show. Like watching Pokemon, there wasn't like Ash didn't
it wasn't
sit there and go,
turn-based. Yeah.
what should I make Pikachu do? No, Pikachu was dodging stuff and doing stuff that you couldn't do in the game because that's not how the combat worked. Also, like we'll get, I know it's a point for Ron, but like they also announced a battle game that is still the original battling mechanic. Like it's like the old Pokemon Stadium mode of like, so that's still going to be there for those fans that want to play in that style more if they don't like this. But I also get that then they don't get the exploration style stuff. But
on that point, I think a lot of people are forgetting this isn't like a mainline normal game where it is typical turn-based. This is a Legends game. Arceus was very open world and did have like the 3D. You didn't go into like the turn-based screen from memory. So I feel like if this was implemented in like, I don't actually know what the next mainline title is going to be. Obviously, we've got Scarlet and Violet, which was the traditional system. Then fair enough. But because this is in Legends, I feel like I feel like people need to try it out before they slate it, because I reckon a lot of people will end up liking it. Because, like I say, I don't think it's going to be like a really sweaty mechanic. Because at the end of the day, it's a Pokemon game. It's never going to be like super sweaty. You can get super sweaty and nerdy with it if you want, but I think the target audience, they're not going to make it something really hard. But yeah, I thought it looked really good myself. It's got a late 2025 release. Scarlet and Violet, the last mainline game, was a good couple of years ago now, I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping that they've taken their time with this one. If we get another Scarlet and Violet, I'm going to be so disappointed. And as it's going to be late 2025, we're assuming the Switch will be out by then. Will this be Switch 2 only to take advantage of the system and not be like Scarlet and Violet? Or are we going to sell as many copies as we can, like the Pokemon company like to do, and it will be on Switch 1 and 2?
Yeah. Why would they limit themselves like that?
I mean, I get the idea of like, if they sell it to Switch 2, it maybe helps push Switch 2 sales. But I actually wouldn't even be surprised if it's like, oh, this is releasing on Switch 1 and maybe Switch 2 at a later date. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it's just easier for them to release it on Switch 1. Because Switch 2, I'm sure they've had dev kits to be like making sure it runs, but like they won't have had them as long as they've been making the games.
But also, let's be clear here, right? Black Ops 6 was released on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. We're currently talking about how in 2027 the new Xbox might be releasing, and they're still actively hampering games by making them for old hardware. And we're talking about a console that, we're going to have it by the end of the year. I expect it'll probably come out height of summer, maybe. But that still only gives people like 6 months to have migrated over. And Pokemon is such a seller that they probably won't bother.
Yeah, and
I agree.
We know Mario Kart's going to be their launch game. So like that's where they're putting that money in.
It is a weird one. I do agree. I do think it'll be on both. The Pokemon fan in me wish it was Switch 2 just so it runs better. Obviously, we don't actually know any details about the Switch hardware itself, so it still might run rubbish anyway.
The handheld community is so much more competitive now as well. I'm worried the Switch 2 might look a bit bad.
Nintendo fans are going to buy it regardless because it's the only place you can play them games. Yes, Zelda, Mario, anything like that. It will sell gangbusters. And fair enough, I will be there. I will be one of them. And then, like Corey mentioned, we did get some gameplay on Pokemon Champions, which I thought looked really interesting. Because at first I couldn't really tell what was going on. It was very much just people battling each other. And I was like, well, we've got sort of different variations of this. But this one has crossplay and it looked very seamless. I'm sure they made it look better than it is, between Switch and mobile, which I think looks very cool. It looks like Pokemon Stadium, but it's called Pokemon Champions this time, and it is your traditional sort of PvP. And I did see it links with Pokemon Home, so any Pokemon you've got on other games you can use in Pokemon Champions, which I think is cool.
That's very cool. There's like a hub game that allows people to pull their Pokemon from their different games.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of cool.
No date on it yet. The Pokemon Works are working with Game Freak to develop it. But the fact that you can play it on Switch and mobile, I think is very cool. It's going to increase the player base. Because obviously to play Pokemon at the minute, realistically, you have to be on Switch. So adding the mobile element, I think is pretty cool. And in terms of the video game elements, that's sort of that for now. And then the actual TCG itself, which is still probably Pokemon's biggest asset realistically, because the anime has finished, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a new one coming, but the traditional one is done.
Yeah. I think that finished in 2022, 23, I recall. Well, the TCG is in a bit of a shambles right now. I am a collector myself. I recently got back into it within the last 6 months or so, and I've probably got back into it at the worst time possible. Prismatic Evolutions, it's still the Scarlet and Violet line at the minute for all those who didn't know. Prismatic Evolutions dropped in January, and I don't know if it's, I don't know why, but Pokemon Company didn't print as much as they normally do, I believe, and so the scalping has been crazy. There's been people queuing up outside Smith's at like before it's opened just to try and buy booster bundles, which is literally 6 packs. Elite trainer boxes are going on eBay for 3-4 times the market price. It is just in absolute disarray right now. People who want to buy the new collection, which most people always do, you physically can't unless you want to pay 3 times the price. So any like casual dad whose son's just been like, because it's a very much like, if you know, you can sign up to notifications and get restocks. I have myself. Literally like sitting there like clicking refresh, trying to check out as quick as possible. Feels like a 2016 Supreme drop half the time. It's absolutely bonkers. But for like the casual dad whose son's gone, oh, I'd love some of the new Pokemon cards. I'd love to try and get the new EV lines. They're like gonna go into the shops and be like, have you got any Prismatic Evolutions? And the staff are going to be like, are you crazy? Like, you can't just walk into a shop and buy any.
This
So
is like
it's just
one
a
of them
mud at the minute.
things that we can genuinely pinpoint and go, COVID fucking ruined it. Because like streamers were so bored they had nothing to do and they had more money than God because Twitch and YouTube had never had more viewership fucking ever. So they're like, fuck it, I want to spend money on stuff. So they just bought bunches and bunches of Pokemon cards, and that caused the market to explode. And now, whenever a market explodes, scalpers come in, they pick it for fucking bones, they make it unbearable. It's genuinely insane that it's had such a lasting impact, and it's realistically probably never going to fully recover back to just being something people can enjoy.
I think you've also got, it became so much easier to get cards graded than it ever used to be. Like, yeah, back in the day, cards, like baseball cards and sports cards, you could get them like graded and valued. But like this idea, you can just send off whatever cards and can get them graded and they're put in a slab and then it adds a new value to that card. That's what has kind of also ruined it, is because people suddenly realized, oh, I could get lucky and make hundreds of thousands of pounds off one card. Yeah, I'm going to spend a fuck ton of money and buy like every pack I can. Gone are the days when we used to walk into Toys R Us and there was just a shelf filled with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like Magic, The Gathering, all the booster packs, and you could just grab as many as you wanted and it wasn't an issue.
Now you've got grown men scrapping in Costco trying to
hiding them under shelves or...
Literally, I was never a collector of Pokemon cards, but I vividly remember there was a couple of occasions where literally we'd go into shops or whatever, and child brain, I'd see it and I'd be like, I want this, and it was like 150 or whatever.
Yeah,
so
they were like,
you don't ask please all the time, fine, whatever. And then I'd probably end up fucking destroying half the cards just from being a child. And now, like you say, you've literally, if a grown man sees a 4-year-old just pick a pack up, he's like going to be seething. He's like, have you weighed it to make sure it's got a good pack value? It's like, what are we doing? Because that's the other big problem now, isn't it? You've got people buying booster boxes and they're using like like MRI scanners to work out what's in the box.
If it's got a god pack and stuff.
And if it's not got good packs in it, they then just scalp it and sell it for loads more than it's worth. Because they're like, they won't know it's dog shit, but we know what we're selling it for is worth more than the cards in the box. And it's like, so you've just literally destroyed the entire concept of, like, for better or worse, the gambling element of it. Because you're just buying all these booster boxes, you're scanning them. If there's something really good in it, you're opening it because the card is worth more. And if it isn't, you're just listing it for 4 times the price, knowing there's shit all in there.
The amount of heavy packs that are on eBay right now is disgusting. People are selling like a booster pack, which most of them start at retail at £3.99 for like 100 quid, just because. And it's been debunked by a lot of people that they've bought heavy packs, or they've bought, say, an ETB where you get 9-10 packs, like weighed them all out, opened the heavy ones, got nothing, opened like some of the lighter ones and had like a demigod pack, and it's like it's not even like a scientific like foolproof thing that you open a heavy pack. There's been people open heavy packs, and it's because there's like an extra energy card in it or something like that. So people are buying £100, and there's a lot of resealing of packs at the minute where people are opening packs, sealing them, sending them back to Amazon. They're reselling them, and it's just in shambles at the minute. The Journey Together, which is the next promo, comes out next Friday. Yeah. Pre-orders are already sold out. You do very well to try and find some of them. So any parents, again, who are going to be like, their children want it, they'll do well to try and find that. And then Destined Rivals, late May. No pre-orders or anything have been available on that yet. But it's just in a shambles, which is a shame because there seems to be so much going on with the actual games and the franchise. It's the biggest, like, highest grossing franchise of all time. And in the TCG at the minute, it's just they're having a bit of a mare. They have supposedly come out and said that Prismatic Evolutions will be getting a reprint, so there might be a boost, which will hopefully then bring sales down instead of like bring card prices and stuff down for resale purposes, instead of making people scalp over them all again. But if they don't release enough of it, it's just a basic supply and demand. Same with any trainer drop that I used to buy back in the day.
The problem is with all of the bots that scalpers use, they create that scarcity instantaneously, and then they control the flow.
It's the same.
And
with
it's
anything.
not like Pokemon can go out there and make like reselling stuff illegal or against TOS or whatever, because that would then kill the entire game. So as much as like we can moan at the company who creates it here, it's kind of an element of there's actually not a lot they can do. What it needs is the entire Pokemon community to go, we are not buying anything that's listed above MSRP, so that scalpers are sitting on stuff that's worth so much money, they're then racing each other to the bottom just to get rid of it and not make a huge loss. But there's always going to be someone who's willing to spend a little bit more, and that's where the problem comes. It comes from them people who will pay over the odds because they want the thing.
I think Pokemon should just flood the market.
Can they flood it quickly enough though, and in a way that prevents scalpers from sucking up all the demand?
Local stores that stock can't then be sold through online. Yeah. Then then you have the stores limit how much a person can buy in a day, and that way the shelves, if they're getting that much stock in and they're limiting how much people can take, the shelves aren't going to empty as quickly. And then it's going to become this thing of like, oh, more people get the packs, so then less people are buying online from scalpers, so then their demand goes down and they get screwed.
There you go. Don't release anything for like 6 months and just print like mad, send it all out to shops all over the world and go, you are limiting people to spending X amount per day.
The rarity of cards can still be controlled in a way, like if you're printing more, it just means, unfortunately, more packs are going to have more general card. Like they just tweak the numbers that we print more packs, and the amount of packs that, or the percentage chance of getting a general card is just then a bit higher because to keep the rarities right.
Yeah,
they could do it, but like
there obviously is the downsides where the people who have spent thousands on cards, because at the minute
but that's not Pokemon's problem.
Yeah, I know. It's like SIRs at the minute are going up in value. Like literally in December, you could get a Bubble Mew for 95 quid. I think now I saw one sell on Whatnot the other day for like 180, 190. So like the higher end cards are going up because it's just basic supply and demand.
Here's the thing. Let's be real. TCGs, cryptos, all of these things are stocks. And what happens when the stock market needs to crash? People lose money. They lose money at value of assets. Unfortunately, that's the real world. Like Pokemon owes them nothing. If they want to flood the market, they have every right to. And if that crashes resellers' prices, tough luck. You shouldn't have pinned your whole financial liability on some Pokemon cards. Like,
very much valid. I just thought, discussing Pokemon and the state of it, I was an interesting topic because
the brand is in a weird place for sure.
You got so many highs and lows. You've got Pokemon Go, which has been bought out, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. You've got TCG Pocket that is thriving. We're all enjoying it. Con, you're a bit of a loser for dropping out on that one. You got the new game coming out, or a couple of new games coming out, which we can only be optimistic about and look forward to. And then you got the other side of it, the TCG, in a bit of a tough place right now. So you got highs, lows, things to look forward to, things not to look forward to. So I thought it was just quite an interesting topic to discuss and something away from GTA, which we all seem to talk about every month.
Is it out yet?
Absolutely
We
not.
would know if it was out because the internet would not be shutting up.
My phone would be beeping right now. So we haven't got
Imagine
any
if it dropped while we
mid-episode
were recording.
announcements.
That'd be hilarious. Just like, oh, we cut the episode there. We all need to go download the game. Bye.
Yeah, I'd so
I don't think it's
downloaded the
Shadow
game.
Yeah.
I'm sure my PC would really love me to play.
Sorry, I need to call my boss and tell him I'm currently dying and we're back in 14 days.
So last month we introduced the top 10 list as opposed to a quiz because Hori, we quickly found that you weren't very good.
We realised I am shocking at any form of quiz.
Let's be clear here. Hori is not shocking at quizzes. I am just goated at quizzes. By comparison, he seems bad, but I am just phenomenal. Let's be fair to Horizontal here.
I am more than okay saying I've always been bad at pub quizzes, always been bad at general knowledge quizzes. I am bad at quizzes on stuff I know. If you ask me to recall something, like on the spot, my brain will blank. Then like 10 minutes later, I'll suddenly remember what it was. I'm just not good at being quizzed on the spot.
But it's fine now because the idea of the top 10 is you work together, your teammates.
I get carried.
Con's like, this is my ranked teammate.
Yeah. And then I come up with a correct answer and Hori just screams, "No, don't answer that."
Oh, when did
that literally happened last time. I said something and Hori's like, "Nah, it won't be that," and he gaslit me away from it. And then asked about the orange box again.
This month we won't have orange box references.
At least I was giving answers that were relevant.
Right, this one. So last month we done top 10 games of all time. No, top 10 best-selling games. Yep.
Yes.
This month's top 10, you will be working together. As per IGN, what are the top 10 open world games?
Open world, okay.
This list was made in March 2022, updated as of recently of December 2022. So anything come out in the last 2 years will not be on the list.
Well, I mean, are we just going straight into it?
Yeah, so I think off rip, I'm just going to say something that's going to be up there. I don't think it'll be number one.
I will confirm, you get 3 lives each.
Okay.
Shit, we're doing lives this time.
Yeah, because last time...
So I'm going to go safe.
Okay.
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 is
You're fucking me if it's not on
the
there.
list, and Con has got 1 life lost.
There is going to be a Fallout game on there. If it's not that one, it's got to be New Vegas.
So you get, and we will be alternating.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Hori, you get the next pick.
I'm going to play it really safe.
Skyrim. I wasn't going to take Skyrim off you, Hori. I know you love that game.
In my opinion, low on the list in 7th place.
7th?
Yep,
They're saying there's 6 open world games.
This is IGN, mate. This is IGN.
My thing. Does GTA 5 count as an open world game or like GTA Online?
I mean, I would say GTA 5 is an open world game because it's a huge open world. This is the thing. My personal definition of open world is you are not fixed on a path. Like you might get missions,
like every
but
game
you can explore the map as free as you want.
Okay, well then surely like Assassin's Creed 2's on there then. That's like an all-timer game. Or are you saying that's too linear to be considered open world? Because that is quite linear, but you do have a lot of free exploration.
See, I would...
Do we trust IGN to make that differentiation?
This is the thing. You've got to think, on IGN,
I just don't want to go down to 2 lives this quickly.
I know.
Minecraft's got to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me it's not.
Connor's lost another life because Minecraft is not.
Okay, so IGN are fucking morons.
Okay.
Can we rewind to 30 seconds ago when Con said he doesn't want to lose another life?
So wait, if they're not classing Minecraft as an
then AC2 and GTA 5 are not going to be on there.
Well, no, because Minecraft, I imagine it's because it's a sandbox and it's randomly generated, right? I think they're classing open world as like there is a set map, but it is like free reign to explore said map.
I'm fuming, mate.
So
you're
gonna have things like GTA, you're gonna have things like Red Dead.
Oh, then take punt on one, sure go.
I know. I had something I thought of before and it's gone out my head now. Oh. Breath of the Wild.
Are you looking at in?
Breath of the Wild.
I think it's a good shout.
Breath of the Wild sitting at number 1.
Way.
I think that's cappuccino.
I'm keeping track.
I'm okay to go out here if this is wrong.
Oh God.
Fallout New Vegas has got to be on there. If Fallout 4 isn't, it's New Vegas has got to be on there.
Fallout New Vegas is at number 6.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Surprisingly ahead of Skyrim, which I don't agree with, but is what it is. But
Fallout
again,
New Vegas is very popular.
This is IGN. It's not. In my opinion, it's not a good list. That's all I'll say.
I don't trust any MMOs to be in this list.
No. Maybe GTA 5 is on there. This list is fucked already.
This is where I'm like, I think GTA and I think Red Dead will be on there.
Because like when you think of like open world games, you instantly think of like Bethesda and Obsidian, and the fact that they're arguably two biggest titles are 6 and 7 is fucking criminal. And Fallout 4's not even on the list despite winning Game of the Year. Is incredible.
I think because my logic so far has treated me right, I'm gonna say GTA 5.
GTA 5 is number 3.
Okay.
I'd like to point out I've said a bunch of games that have ended up being right and then gone with the wrong answers. I'm phenomenally bad.
I feel like you've done the exact same last month as well. You like Dabble, yeah, I've got this answer, I got this. I'm gonna go for this one actually.
When did you say this list was updated?
December 2022.
So
there won't be any Baldur's Gate.
Or Tears of the Kingdom.
Pay attention to that. Shit. Okay.
No Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, no Tears, no Baldur's Gate.
Okay. IGN hated Starfield. They won't have Starfield on there. Now I'm really struggling. We've got 5 on there. We've got Skyrim, New
Vegas, GTA 5, and Breath of the Wild. We've got 4.
You're missing 1098, 542. There's a couple of big names on here that
I feel like there's gonna be some old games that we're forgetting.
There's a couple. 8, 9, and 10 to me are very. Number 8, I wouldn't have said, so I'm going to let you off if you just have that one left because I don't think you'll get that one. 9 and 10, you might. The other 3, you'll definitely get.
I'm trying to think what I played when I was younger. Would the original Red Dead make this list? Do you reckon?
See, is it Red
Dead? Or
would
Red Dead 2?
Yeah, it's what I think. One of the Red Deads is on here.
Fuck it! If I die, I die. Fighting without me. Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2 is sitting at number 4.
Okay.
Sweet. There's no way the original Red Dead's on here as well.
Can confirm there is only one iteration from each franchise on the list.
Okay.
Okay, that makes it easier. That makes it easier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm trying to think of like old. Go on.
I have all my lives, so I'm just gonna go straight with this. Witcher 3.
Go on. Oh, that's great.
Witcher 3 at 6 at number 2.
Great.
Do you know what you need to pick?
What?
Your favorite sci-fi game.
Can't tell if I'm being trolled or not. Oh, would they have cyber? IGN are fucking morons, and they don't change their opinion. And they gave it a really bad initial review.
What year did the expansion come out?
What, Phantom Liberty?
Yeah.
23.
23.
So just too. That would have maybe helped change him. I mean,
I think it absolutely should be on there. It'll be on my top 10.
If you
but I also said Fallout 4.
Don't you say it. I've still got all my lives. I can say it.
Yeah.
We'll
okay, so what do we think is a safer bet?
Oh,
we've got 5.
It's like a little turn-based Pokemon game.
We've got 5.
Segue
8,
in
9,
from
10.
the previous segment.
We've got 5, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 8, I don't think you'll get. 9
So
and 10
5,
potentially.
9, and
5 you'll
10.
definitely get.
Okay.
There's going to be something. Can we
5's
take
too
a punt
low.
on like AC2?
5 is too
Oh wait,
low.
what about Black Flag? Because Black Flag was even more open worldy.
True, and beloved by many. I do think there's an Assassin's Creed on here.
Yeah. See, for me, when I think of AC, like my favourite is AC2. But I don't know if IGN have enough culture to look that far back. Oh fuck.
It's whether that or one of the more newer ones like Origins.
I want Watch Dogs to be on this list, but it won't be, and that's criminal. Shall I take a punt on AC and then you can finish it yourself? Fuck it, AC2.
There is no Assassin's Creed on the list. However, Con, I will give you a bonus life because I respect the effort.
Okay.
Getting 2 wrong in a row to start off with is tough, so I'll give you a bonus life.
I'm gonna go with the risky pick because I'm full stacked on lives, so I'm gonna say Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk is not on the list.
Okay.
That is wrong, by the way.
Yeah,
that is one of the best
agreed.
open worlds ever created.
I read a couple of other lists from different accounts. Cyberpunk was one of the games on the list. Minecraft was also on one of the lists. Assassin's Creed, Black Flag was on one of the... In my opinion, the earlier Assassin's Creeds are quite linear because although you can explore,
true, there's not much to do on them.
The story, it's more like collectibles, whereas the story is very linear.
I always felt AC2 was a bit more open world purely because you could like upgrade that village that you own.
Yeah.
And like you could go and come back, and that made it feel a bit more open world.
Whereas like the actual story was very linear. Whereas like
Black Flag's probably fair.
Yeah.
What are we forgetting?
So 8, I
don't
think
look at
you'll
my
get
shelf
8,
again.
9 and 10.
Because that worked great for us last time.
We're forgetting the Batman games. We're forgetting the Batman games, the Batman series.
Ooh,
Some of the best open world games ever. Arkham City is the pinnacle, if we're doing that one.
I'm a big Arkham Asylum guy myself.
That I don't view that as that open world though. That one's very linear, like AC2. Arkham City, it went open world, and that's phenomenal.
Possibly.
I'm willing to die for Arkham City. If it's not on the list, IGN have got to go.
Only so many bonus lives you can get.
Yeah, Arkham City, baby, lock it in. It's not on the list. I can tell from his face. The list is fucked, mate. The list
there
is
is
fucked.
no Batman on the list.
The list is no AC.
Notice how when Con said, "Oh, I've not looked at my shelf," and I went, "That went great for us last time," and once again,
there was an answer on the shelf last time. Red Dead Redemption 2 again.
Yeah, but you guessed the wrong one when we first looked. I have a
criminal that Batman Arkham series isn't on there at all.
I feel I need to be playing this safer.
There's
it's just you now, mate.
There's a game that I can't believe you haven't said yet. There's 2 big Sony IPs, or 3, but one of them I don't think you.
The Last of Us isn't open world, is it? That's considered linear as fuck. IGN do twerk for PlayStation though.
I very much disagree with this list.
If it's Sony, what's the one with the fucking robots, animals walking around? And
Horizon.
Yeah, is that open world?
And that's pretty open world, I think. I don't know if it's good open world, but I know it's open world.
I'm trying to think what other...
you know what it is?
Go on.
Lego Batman 3, Beyond Gotham. Open world as fuck, masterpiece.
No,
can't confirm there's no Batman games on the list.
Would you class Death Stranding as open world?
Oh, I think so. I mean, it's a walking simulator. Surely it's open world, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would any of the Metal Gear games be considered open world? They're all quite linear, aren't they? Pokemon? Any of the Pokemon games? Are they all open world? They're all quite open world, but they're also quite linear.
Yeah, it's IGN. There's such like, I will say, I'm gonna go Death Stranding.
Death Stranding is not on the list. It is really fun being a Quizmaster.
Fuck, I've got one life left.
It is such like a broad
Right.
category.
There's one that I can't believe you still haven't said. Another one. There's another one that you've mentioned. There's another one that does appear in Con's backdrop.
If Watch Dogs is on that list and I've
Oh!
said it and then not said it,
No,
I'm gonna
Sony
lose my
games,
mind.
the fucking Spider-Man games. Are they open world?
They are open world. They're open world games. Which one are you taking though? Spider-Man, Miles Morales, or Spider-Man 2?
I don't know. I haven't played them.
I'd go the first Spider-Man just because of how old the list is.
I was about to say, I will remind you,
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 wouldn't be on the list. However, 1 and Miles Morales would be.
If it's going to be one of them, it'll be the first one.
We'll go Spider-Man 1.
Not on the
Oh,
list.
fuck.
I'm going to give you a bonus live. Spider-Man is on the list, but it's Miles Morales.
Oh, wait, Hurry, we're forgetting something. And it's not on the list. We don't deserve to win.
Okay, so what's Spider-Man?
Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon.
That's my rogue pick, and I really don't know if...
If it's not on the list, IGN literally are pointless.
So wait,
They
did you say
missed all
Miles
the
Morales
Batman
was
games.
on?
Yep, number 10, Miles Morales.
Really?
9, 8, and 5.
The open worldness is the one thing in Miles Morales I think is worse than Marvel Spider-Man.
So yeah, the Forza Horizon
Which
was one that
one,
I've
though?
considered.
2? I think 2's probably the best one, although I love the first one.
I think 2's the one that people enjoy the most. This is my bonus life, though. So there's
Right, I'm
something...
going to read the question. Number 5 is still on the board. Top 10 open world games. Number 5 is still available.
Okay, it's Forza Horizon 5.
It's Orange Fox.
Are we taking that as... I don't know if he's... I don't think he's hinting at that being a Forza Horizon 5. I think he's more saying there's an obvious one we're not thinking of.
That is exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
What are we not thinking of? And there's one that I've said that we've not got yet as well, apparently.
There's 2. One you nearly submitted, one that you mentioned in passing, and then one that you somehow haven't got. And I'm going to be kind to you. There is no Forza on the list.
The list
Yeah, that was why in my head it was a rogue pick, so I wasn't going to go on it. Yeah,
no Batman, no Minecraft, no fucking Forza games. These are like the pinnacle of open world games.
Any of the Final
I think
Fantasy
Watch Dogs
ones.
might be on there. Watch Dogs 2 might be on there. That's the only game I can think that I've nearly submitted and then chickened out of.
Yeah, that's true. You did mention Watch Dogs.
Right. So
Hogwarts Legacy's on my shelf. When did that come out?
I'm giving you some more bonus clues. Con, the game that you mentioned that is on the list, you mentioned passing. You wasn't going to submit.
Passing.
Hori, the one that you mentioned, you went into a bit of detail on it, but Con didn't give any feedback. And then number 5, you're still somehow missing. It's really stressing.
Okay, on text. So you were talking about Horizon Zero Dawn's on there, or Horizon. I can't remember what the actual fucking title is. That one's definitely on there then, based on what Josh has just said, because you went on a bit of detail and I didn't get feedback. I mentioned it in passing. See, this is a problem. I talk so fast I don't even listen to myself.
But which Horizon? I guess Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Because that's the.
Is Horizon Zero Dawn the first one? I don't know. I'm just going to Google the titles.
Yeah, I'll let you Google the titles.
I'm just. It'll be the first one, I expect, but I don't know what its title.
So Forbidden
West
was
is the second one.
Zero Dawn was PS4.
Yeah, so I'd say Zero Dawn if we're going to go on one of them. I don't think Forbidden West got incredible rave reviews. I think Zero Dawn was like, wow, everyone lost their mind with it.
Okay.
He's pulling a face. I'm wrong. It's Forbidden West.
Have you locked in an answer?
I haven't, and now I'm worried.
You've just got a 50-50, I'm afraid. I'm now going to be fuming when he says what game I've mentioned in passing and then forgotten about.
That was the one that you mentioned in passing was the one I didn't think you'd get, and I personally wouldn't have got it either.
Fuck it, Horizon Zero Dawn. It's Forbidden West.
Horizon Forbidden West at number 9.
Fuck's sake. Go on, what are the other two then?
Right, number 8 was a Metal Gear Solid, Con, you mentioned. Metal
I
Gear
just don't
Solid
know enough about them
5,
games.
Phantom Pain. I wouldn't have got that. And number 5.
We're gonna hate
You are
ourselves.
going.
We're going to be fuming.
It's 2 words. It won Game of the Year in 2022.
Maybe like Diablo 3 or something.
Okay.
There was an expansion last year. The expansion was nominated for Game of the Year.
Oh my god, Elden Ring.
I can't believe you didn't
How
get
the
Elden Ring.
fuck did we forget
Do you
Elden
know what's
Ring?
funny? At one point, I was thinking about Elden Ring and got completely distracted by all these other fucking games of being like, "Oh, you've said this in passing, and you haven't said. I haven't even gone back
I
to it
was
in my
thinking,
brain."
how have they not mentioned any
How have we
Souls
forgotten
games?
Yeah, no,
Elden
because
Ring?
I was like,
No,
"Oh,
because most Souls
like,
games are very linear. In all fairness,
I'm
which is why I didn't
so
instantly think about
annoyed.
that. Elden Ring is so obvious.
I got so distracted with all these other games
But-
that completely forgot to
In all
mention.
fairness, that list is
Oh.
fucked.
It is a terrible list. In my opinion,
I'm so
GTA
annoyed.
5, it is open world. I wouldn't have it as high as 3. Skyrim
For,
needs
like,
to be
the
higher.
world being
Elden Ring needs to
open.
be higher.
No, Minecraft is literally the worst decision ever made.
I
I know
my-
it's sandbox, but it is open
My
world.
only thing that I'd be okay with the argument is that it's randomly generated and it's a sandbox. It's not like a. And if
But you
this
can
is,
save the seed. You can play
Yeah.
the same seed every time.
I just I get if the definition is it's like an open world map, like it's a set.
The
yeah.
problem is you've got now is like every game is open. Like linear stories in video games don't really exist anymore.
Not much.
Like the very, very few of them.
I'm so annoyed my brain didn't go back to Elden Ring because we got
Really-
so
I think-
fixated on these other games that we'd said or hadn't said.
In my opinion, because it was so low down, if it was, say, number 2 or 3, and I was like, you're missing 2 or 3, you would have probably thought about it quicker. But because it was number 5, I think like, you don't associate Elden Ring with it number 5.
I stopped thinking about new options and got focused on like what stuff we'd already said.
That list feels like top 10 games, in our opinion, that also feature an open world, rather than talking about the quality of the open world.
Having
No Cyberpunk, none of the
Like,
Batman games.
I
is
love
fucking
Spider-Man.
laughable.
I love all the Spider-Man games. They don't belong in a top 10 open world.
Their
games
open world
list.
is never as good as the Batman open worlds. The Batman
Horizon,
open world shit all over
I'm
'em.
biased because I'm not a Horizon fan, but I know for a fact they don't belong in this list.
Yeah.
But
IGN fumble the bag
it
once
is
again.
IGN,
Shock.
and that's why I wanted to pick IGN because I knew it's always fun.
The
to
most
pick
tilting
IGN.
lists ever.
But yeah, that is that segment. Until next time.
Right.
Well,
I
we
very
got 7 out of 10.
It's a solid effort. In my
You
opinion.
got 7 out of 10. I died instantly.
Because bearing in mind, you got 3 of the games. You got the right franchise, just the wrong game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Con, you opened up with Fallout 4. It was Fallout New Vegas. Then you went for Spider-Man 1. It was Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And then you went for Horizon Zero Dawn. And it was Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Criminal. Right, well, thank you as always, Josh.
Yes.
No worries.
thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
And we'll see you next month.
Indeed, it should be a good month.
Shout out to Josh, as always, for the amazing game news and top 10 list, despite how messed up the list may have been. But let's get into some nerdy news.
Yes, let's.
So, Robert Kirkman has suggested that Invincible may use unused comic storylines. This is apparently going to start in season 4, where they are going to use an unused story of where Mark fought the devil.
Yes, which they
So-
sort of set up at the end of season 3 with little teams.
Exactly. So obviously, I've not read all the comic yet. By the time we're through Compendium 1, so I might go and read that now. A lot of people are being very what's the opposite of critical? They're giving a lot of praise to like some of the minor tweaks this show is doing from the comic run.
Yes.
They don't think they're doing them just for the sake of it. They think they work, and it's just a slightly different interpretation of the story.
Mhm.
And with Robert Kirkman having written the comic or been a part of the comic team, he's obviously aware of stories that they storyboarded and thought about and ended up not using.
Yeah.
And the way he's kind of viewing like the non-plot dependent stuff. So like, this could be a fun way to tell some of them stories we wanted to tell but didn't get to.
Yes.
And then there's still value to going back and reading the comic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, and like we saw them sort of dipped their toe in with adding the monologue in for Conquest.
Exactly. They've changed some bits, they've changed the order of some bits, and taking stories that they were excited to tell, but they never found a way to get in to the comics, and going, right, we're still going to tell them stories. Yeah. And then if you want to see what else Mark was getting up to around the same time, you can go back and read the comics. That's brilliant. Because of all comic runs, Invincible is the easiest to retroactively go back and read.
Yeah.
You can buy the 3 compendiums. They're not cheap, but you can buy them, and you can just read it start to finish. I don't think you ever did watch Ted Lasso. It is officially getting a 4th season, and in the 4th season, he's going to be taking on a women's team. This has been rumored for about 6 months now.
Yeah, I remember
but
hearing
it's finally been announced.
Okay,
I'm incredibly excited for this. We did a month free trial of Apple TV when just after season 3 came out. And me and Jenna binged Ted Lasso 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back. I adore that show. I know a lot of people are weirdly anti it on Twitter, but Twitter hates everything. I genuinely think it's some of the better TV out there. I think it made football a lot more accessible to people who've previously been intimidated by it. I know it helped Jenna want to consider watching football, and now she loves it. I think it's great. It's very funny. It's very wholesome. I'm really excited. And with women's football starting to be at that precipice of really having a chance to take off in this country, I think this could do it a lot of good. I say that as an Arsenal women's season ticket holder. I'm doing my part.
I remember when this was rumoured, and I just thought, I'd known it ended in a pretty solid, good way.
They absolutely could have left it where they did. I'm glad they haven't.
I also think the idea of them coming back, bringing it back, so he's doing a women's team, I think also is something that seems like it would make a lot of sense and a good way to bring this story back and continue it, rather than him just being like, oh, he's now doing the same thing but for another men's team. At least it gives them a lot to work with in a new direction. Yeah,
and obviously it gives new problems. The show isn't afraid to tackle the big issues. Although it handles it in a pretty comedic way a lot of the time, it's not afraid to tackle big issues. So it is absolutely going to go after how people talk badly about women's football for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how they do that. The Russo brothers have claimed that the circulated leaks of concept art are not theirs and they don't spoil anything. So maybe their claims that there will be no spoilers are true.
So I see this as
bullshit. Or some very good fake concept art.
Part bullshit. I think this concept artist worked for one of these VFX studios that does work on the Marvel stuff. And internally, they did concept art because maybe they're going to be working on it. So they wanted to get creative process going. They know they're going to be working on, and because people also realized a lot of the concept art was just versions of comic panels.
Yeah.
So clearly they've gone around and gone, these are the pulled comic panels, or were given comic panels. They've just kind of done concept art from those. Russo brothers probably never asked them to make that, so they can essentially be like, that's not our concept art. We never commissioned that. It's that legal sense of, this isn't ours. It's all bullshit. But actually, it's somewhat maybe connected.
Apparently, they were also given baseball cards by Marvel that contained an actor's cost to include in the films, and also how many movies they had left on their contract.
That would make for a great top trumps deck.
It's really funny because it seems ridiculous. It's like, oh my god, you're a multi-billion-dollar company. But as a director, when you're trying to work out your story and who's available, I feel like it could be quite helpful.
Oh yeah, and knowing that the Russo brothers are doing the next 2 big team-up movies, so...
If someone's only got 1 film left on their contract, they don't necessarily want to set them up to be a massive part of the second one.
Well, that, or they need to know, oh, we want this person, you need to go get them locked in on a new contract ready, because we don't want to do that between films if this pops off. That sort of stuff. Also, just, if they've got a budget, they need to know who they can afford and who they can't. There's stuff like that matters.
On that side, I guess it makes sense. On the creative side, I think it's quite dystopian and sad. because it does just feel like they're going, I'm going to play Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four, and then it's going to be set in a desert because I've spent all the money on characters. Like, I understand that budgeting does matter for films. I'm not oblivious to that. It just feels quite sad that the characters may or may not be in the film based on who they can afford versus what the story needs.
I imagine the budgeting will be not as strict as we think. It will be more a case of the Russo brothers go, this is the people we're using. This is how much it's going to cost you. That's what it is. And Disney's like, okay, we just want to know what this is going to cost.
What we're on the hook for, yeah.
Yeah, and also like the contracts. Like, I think it's useful as long as they're not being strict of like, we can only use these people. Like, if they're just like, also you've got to remember they stepped away from a while, so they're probably disconnected a bit of who is in and who's playing what characters and stuff, and like they need that kind of easy refresh sort of thing.
A sequel to Starship Troopers is apparently in the works.
Yeah.
Now, this goes one of two ways, right? As we saw over the last year and a bit, people really, really, really struggle to understand media anymore. Starship Troopers is like prime example of that. People don't realise it's like satire at all, which is genuinely kind of terrifying. So this sequel goes one of two ways. Either it kind of wakes some people up and they start to understand what satire is again, or to make it obvious to the people who need to know that it's satire, it's going to be so hit you over the head with a brick, a la The Boys, that people are like, oh my god, it's gone woke. And then we're going to be standing there pulling our hair out going, it's literally the exact same idea, it's just you're so thick they had to make it so obvious that now you're missing the point.
I mean, they could go like Helldivers level of like in your face.
But people miss the point of that.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, here's the thing. Enough people got the point, though, that I think they just need to be like, they just need to double down. Like, make it a bit more obvious just to be like really in your face with it. And if people miss the mark, just make fun of them. People will just make fun of them for missing the mark.
It's just scary, isn't it? How much people just can't even understand what they're watching anymore. This one's quite cool, I think. I'll get your opinion on this, but I think this is quite cool. The Spider-Man Noir series is considering doing a black and white release alongside a full colour release, because they've said they've looked at some of the footage they've already got in black and white, and it looks really good, they think. So they're really tempted to release it in black and white as well as the colour.
Hot take, it should only be released in black and white.
I'd also be kind of... You know, my opinion for a long time has been bring style back to films.
Yeah.
I think this would be a really aggressive way for a TV show to just go, we're doing something unique.
What was the special called? The Werewolf by Night was black and white. Worked perfectly fine.
And
everyone raved about how it was such like a nice creative take for Marvel to take. Yeah, give us a whole...
I'm kind of okay for them to release it in black and white and colour for one reason. I will exclusively watch the black and white version and then look down on anyone who just watches the colour version. Just a little bit of like I'm better than you. I always like having that option, you know?
Or just do black and white and then like 2 months later release in colour so they'll have a second run at the box office.
Percy Jackson has already been renewed for season 3 ahead of its season 2 release in December.
Okay.
They are targeting yearly releases with this show. I respect the fuck out of it. It's nice to see that these streaming services seem to be at least confident in some of their shows now. That they seem to be trying to be a bit more proactive so there's not as long waits anymore, which I like.
Yeah, Prime's been doing a good job of it. Disney's getting better.
I imagine part of the urgency for this as well is obviously they don't want the actors to age too much. You can't afford a 3-year gap in between seasons.
Because people mentioned that with
between
the
episode 1 and episode 10, he gets like 6 inches taller.
And then also the teaser we got for the people were like, oh, they need to.
His voice has dropped an entire
Yeah.
octave.
So I think there'll have been a bit of like, okay, if we want this show to work as best, but we need to be committed to it. Maybe Netflix will follow suit. Maybe they'll commit to a show for more than one season.
Best they can do is one episode, I'm afraid. The production company for Doomsday is For All Times Production UK, a reference to the TVA's tagline for all time, always.
Interesting.
There's not really much to be said about it. It's just worth noting.
I mean, anyone probably could have guessed TVA is probably going to be involved in these films.
It just kind of makes sense, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've been set up across multiple things now. Like
they've been the most consistent part of the MCU post Endgame at this point.
Yeah.
According to Collider, voice acting work for season 3 of X-Men 97 is about to begin.
Okay.
So
exciting.
Good progress going on there.
Mm.
According to Tony Gilroy, the creator of Andor, who's been just in the news with some banger quotes recently, he said, "We're trying very rigorously to be more serious about this shit than anyone has ever been."
I mean,
I fuck with this heavy.
we know that surely the Andor creators know they created a gem with the first season, and then they saw people respond the same way, and they're coming into season 2 being like, "Oh, we've cooked again, people, and we're gonna make sure you know we've cooked again."
I just, ironically, the trend of the world, right? And there's been studies on this. Is that the speed at which a TV show cuts has only got shorter. So like 20 years ago, it was like there was a cut every like 30 seconds, and now it's like every 10 seconds. And like if you actually go back and watch old shows, and then watch something new, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like the camera doesn't linger ever anymore. And Andor's like quite different to that. It doesn't feel like it cuts a lot. It lets the camera linger a little bit. And that's part of what I love about it. Some of the writing in the first season of Andor is genuinely some of the best writing I've seen. And the fact that he himself is going, we are taking this very seriously. We want to treat Star Wars in what it can be and elevate what we've already done. Makes me excited beyond belief.
This is the other thing. Like, we know internally with Star Wars, there's so much uncertainty on like what they should do for the future, what films should they like. No one is really confident about the direction. I love the idea of the people that have made Andor are there in the office watching everyone else be like, "Oh, we don't know what project we should do," and they're just like, "No, we know exactly what we're doing. We're so confident in that. Like, to just be the ones amongst the chaos to be like, we've nailed our thing. Get your shit together, because like we're set on what we're doing over here."
Absolutely.
So
following Daniel Craig leaving the project, Colin Farrell is apparently in talks to star in Sergeant Rock.
Interesting. I feel this might have come from a little bit of bias from the success of Penguin, that they're like, we must use Colin Farrell.
There's probably also an element of this helps solidify the Reeves versus Elseworlds, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. Though some people would say, well, he's got enough prosthetics on in Penguin that you can't even really tell it's him. So he could very easily play two characters in the same universe.
It's an interesting thing. Obviously, it's no done deal yet. It's just being discussed. He's a brilliant actor, so I don't see it being a massive issue. But it is always interesting to keep an eye on stuff like this. A live-action God of War series has been greenlit for 2 seasons by Amazon. Not upset about that. It's quite cool. This, however, not so much. Showrunner Ronald Moore has said he's not going to play the games as he's not a gamer.
I can't remember with the Fallout show if there was something similar of like, I'm not going to play the game, but I understand them or something. I know the Halo series, the guy said, "Oh, I've not played any of the games," and we all know
I've
how
not
that
read
went.
any of the books. I'm not gonna play any of the games. Blah,
But
blah,
I
blah.
can't remember if there was something similar with Fallout, which was
So
caused
I
us to be
know,
unsure at the beginning.
I know Ella Perel, the lead actress
Mm.
who plays Lucy, played Fallout 4. She was told to play Fallout 4. Granted, she said herself it's the only game she's ever played, and she's not finished it. She just likes running around, which is a completely fine way to play video games, by the way. If you feel like you have to play video games to completion, that's not the objective of a video game. The objective is to have fun. But also with Fallout, I don't think it's as big an issue. With God of War, I feel like playing the games is a much bigger deal.
Okay, I've just checked it. Fallout TV producer did play the games, but they didn't make it a requirement for the cast to play, but said if they want to, they can.
Exactly. Whereas I feel like, and don't get me wrong, just because the showrunner's not played it isn't necessarily an issue.
No.
But that being one of the quotes you lead with in like the announcement, it just doesn't fill people with confidence, does it?
The only time that I'm okay with that is if they're then very clear that, like, look, I am very well read up on the universe and the world around God of War, and we aren't telling a story that is told in the games, and I don't want to be swayed by I want to make sure I'm writing something unique, and then it obviously gets vetted against stuff that's happened. Like that's the only time where I'm like, okay, your head's in the right place. I have some level of like, we'll see how this goes. But like what happened with Halo, where it's like, oh, I'm not playing the games, I'm not reading it. And then they're still telling the same story and change significant things and don't really understand the characters properly. Fans get pissed off and it makes the show flop. And it got cancelled. And look what happened to Halo. It was a mess. Look what they did to my boy. Whereas hopefully it's more like Fallout and this is a success. Maybe we're pleasantly surprised because we did go into that cautiously optimistic. Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
According to Robert Kirkman via Variety, Thrag has already been cast for Invincible Season 4 and is, quote, amazing.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned about
Exciting
it when
times.
we were discussing Invincible earlier, but...
Imagine it's Bryan Cranston. Just get even more of the Breaking Bad crew on board.
Imagine. I mean, from what I've seen, comic fans have been eagerly awaiting this Viltrumite to show up.
As far as I'm aware, Thrag is the emperor of the Viltrum Empire.
Got you.
If my understanding is correct, I might be wrong.
All I see is things about his hairline being so sharp and his mustache. So I mean, the fact that they've already cast him, they've made a decision, and they're very happy with it. Very confident we're going to get another incredible performance in this show.
Mm-hmm. And this is quite possibly the most weirdly excited thing that I'm going to get to say. I know you don't have this because I added this up after I sent the notes over to you. Power Rangers is in talks to return via Disney Plus.
Yes. Interesting.
One of the biggest travesties of the last probably 10 years at this point is the last Power Rangers film flopped. Because that film is genuinely very good. It's like the perfect amount of what a Power Rangers film should be in the modern era. And for some reason it flopped. I would have watched 6 of them films. If they're going to bring it back as a TV show, but in that kind of vibe, I am all over it.
I mean, it'll be cool to see it come back. I just hope they don't like lose its essence, if you get what I mean.
They either need to make it just like old school how they did Power Rangers, where they just come up with a new theme, but it follows the exact same structure as everything else, and it's designed for kids, which I'd be fine with. I probably wouldn't watch it, but I'd be fine with. Or they distill the essence of what Power Rangers should be, and then they rebuild everything around that for a modern audience, and I'm okay with that as well. But I think, well, like you always talk about how kid shows when you were growing up were the best. Everyone had the best kid shows. One of the things that was like really relied upon for like a number of generations was they all had their own Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And now kids don't have that, and that's wrong. Like, it just is. Like, my brother grew up with, like, Mighty Morphin.
Mm-hmm.
And, like the first ones that I felt like were, like, my Power Rangers were SPD, Space Patrol Delta, my goats. But I also watched a lot of the ones in between because my brother was still watching Power Rangers and I was still watching it. So I got to experience, like, Lightspeed Rescue, which was goated. Like, there's so many great Power Rangers stories out there in different casts. And I just need it to come back in a meaningful way.
Well,
and this will be it. Mark my words.
Potentially.
But that's all we have time for. Oh my god. What a fun episode.
That is all the news. And that has been a stacked episode this week.
It has been an absolutely stacked episode. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We'll see you next week for more Reach Up, more Daredevil, and more goodness.
Yes, we'll see you next week.